Hello, folks. Good morning to everybody. If you are joining me on YouTube and Facebook, please make sure that you say hello in the comments because I will not be able to see you join if you don't speak. What's up, Lisa Medina? Good to see you. Hello, Ryan. What's up, Kizzy Butts? How is everyone doing this morning? It is a busy Tuesday. 100%. It's a busy Tuesday. So good morning, Colleen. Good morning. Good morning, Podmouth. Let me put myself on Do Not Disturb, folks. Give me 1 second. I know it looks like I'm gone, but I'm not. I promise. So good morning, Mom with Goals. Good morning, Mitchell. Good morning, St. Bart. Good morning, Farah. Red Hot. Good to see you guys. What's up, Dirty Bad? Good to see you as well. Hey, MG Brock. What's up, Kim Bro? Good to see you. Hey, Glenn Hayes. Nice to see you as well. What's up, Dad Jokes? Penny G, Conchita, Winn-Dixie, good to see you guys. Oh, thanks, Dirty Bad Bloggers. I appreciate that. I agree. I'm excited to pull some of that footage down for clips as well as to prepare for a contest. Hey, Lisa Blaney over on YouTube. Good to see you as well. I miss people. Hey, Julie, how are you? You guys are coming in pretty fast. What's up, One New York Queen? Good to see you as well. Hey, Witch. What's up, Christine is fed up. Good to see you as well. How is everyone? We are doing great. Robert Brooks, how are you doing? What's up, Cam? Hello again. Hello, Sandy. Good to see you as well. Hey, Allie Nicole. Good to see you. Catsmandu. Yeah, it's been a lot already, right? But it's okay. Good morning from Chicago. It's going to be hot in Chicago. It is summertime, right? What's up, Lisa? Good to see you as well. Hey, Eva Diva, we're living in an attempted one at least. Hey, Sandra Doyle. Good to see you over there on Facebook. Hey, Auntie Tiff. What's up, Terry Bora? How are you? I'm trying to catch everybody when you come in, but sometimes the names come in very fast. What's up, Rylene K. Brand? Good to see you as well. Hey, Eli Lewis. Good to see you. All right. So, folks, again, if you don't speak on Facebook and YouTube, I don't know that you've joined. So, what's up, Uka? Good to see you as well. Let me see who else. What's up, Wandy? Chef Ryan, Roland. Good to see you as well. Yeah, I sure did, Chris. What's up, Auntie Tinker? Good to see you as well. Yeah, it was a lot, right? And hey, Carol, I'll tell you what. So I noticed a week ago, hey, Sharita, that hey, Jen, good to see you as well. So Girls Code was having some issues with kind of being shadow banned a little bit. And so I've joined once or twice just to kind of see if I can assist with that. Good morning, CJ, Steffi G, good to see you. It's just not run the way that I like to run things. What's up, Chelsea? I know it's hard. Good morning, Tech Lady. And so, I did my part, right? Tried to assist, and then I dipped because it was just too much. I don't like stupidity. I don't like arrogance. I don't like impulsivity. What's up, Salt and Sassy? I don't like, what's up, DJ? Appreciate you. Hey, Alice. Yeah, Conchita, it was hard, right? Yes. It was a lot. So we are over here in our world, right? The way that we do things. So welcome back to the land of the stable and balanced, right? So for those of you guys who are new to my live, I want to take just a second. Good morning, Amy and Nora. I want to take just a second to kind of level set and give you the 4 little guidelines that I ask for in this space. Number 1, be respectful. Number 2, do not use slurs of any kind. Number 3, do not spam the comments in this space. And number 4, do not type in all caps. And the reason for that is because caps are reserved for moderators and for folks that are vision impaired. Hey to the other Lisa. Yeah, it's not cool. Well, you saw my response was, right? I don't have yes, Carol, the land of facts. Hey, Veronica, good to see you as well. Yeah, the misogyny was sickening, wasn't it though? So that's just not how we get down here. There are lots of things that I want to talk to you. And so some of you all may be like, gosh, those are confusing pictures. What's up, Gabe DeBage? I know, Gemini. I know. Forgive me, guys. I was trying to assist someone else. What's up, Yari? So let me just you guys may be looking at all of these pictures and going, wow, that's a lot. And it looks a little different and all of those types of things. And it does. I still want to talk about this particular story about this pastor who has been looking for medication for this young orphan child who has HIV and needs medication. And it's been very, very hard for him to find it since U.S. aid was cut off. I do want to talk about that story because I think sometimes we talk about it. Hey, Cheryl, good morning. And we talk about it and they are just talked about and kind of breezed over. right? It's just like, oh, we've cut off US aid, but we don't really put faces to that. We don't really put like, we don't get to see the people that it impacts. Um, well, thank you, Sandra. I appreciate that. Sandra over on Facebook said, I just want you to know that I look forward to your lives. It's the only sanity I have in this chaotic mess. Yeah, it is chaotic. That's definitely so, right? And that is one of the things that I want to do. I think that there are a lot of spaces that we get into, hey, Eric, where the folks that are presenting the information can sometimes make it more chaotic or make you more worried or more concerned than you need to be. And I don't need anyone to help level us up. Right. Hey, Veronica. Hey, Janice. Hey, Cam. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need you to add anything extra. I think we have enough going on. And so I think, if anything, we benefit from kind of bringing down the emotion so that we can handle things in a way that is maybe productive for us or helpful. Right. Good morning, Peacekeeper. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Terry Bora. So that's kind of what I try to do in this space. And it's not dismissing the things that are concerning. What's up, Dilgrave? It's not that, right? I'm aware of all of the things that are out there. What I just don't think serves us is if we stoke them up and then make us all like live in fear. Like, I just don't find that to be productive. I would rather say what the facts are without sensationalizing them. And then let's talk about how we can be productive despite the things that we can't control, right? Right. The guy that there was a guy last week that joined my TikTok. And yeah, Renee, good morning. And he said, good morning, Linda. And he said, he jumped up there on the panel and he said, okay, Danny, talk me off the ledge. Hey, Mike. And that's fine. I think that we all need to have that in our lives, right? We all need to have the people in your life that help bring you down a notch and help kind of level set. Hey, Bronze, help get you grounded. For me, I tend to do those things on my own, and I have several practices that help me do that. But that comes from a long time and a lot of effort of practice built in to be that way, right? Because I wasn't always the way that I am. And so it took me a lot of time and a lot of effort to be that way. And I think, for some people, when you have experienced trauma, right? And that trauma stuff has you triggered and always on alert and always hyper vigilant. That's not good for you. It's not good for you mentally. It's not good for you spiritually. It's not good for you physically. And so developing practices and tools that help you regulate that is just beneficial, right? So I want to be clear about something. I have a hard stop at 2:00. So you got 3 hours with me because I have an appointment. And then as soon as that appointment's over, which it will not be a very long appointment, as soon as that appointment is over, we can get back to business if we haven't finished. Just did, which appreciate you. What's up, Donna Ski? Hey, Gia. All right. So let's kind of dive right in. One of the things that is happening right now, as you all know, is that, shortly anyway, because it's on the West Coast, right? So shortly, we will have a team of attorneys that will be arguing the case of California and Governor Newsom against the Trump administration for federalizing the National Guard. And this court, the right, Cam, go Peter. And so I want to just review a couple of the things that we've talked about with regard to that judge's decision, what Title 10 actually says, the things that I have said from the beginning that I believe will be a challenge for the Trump administration to defend in court. And then also that one little part of what that judge said in Thursday's order that just kind of let all of us know that this judge is also aware of some of the things that are in that big, ugly bill that they would like to get passed. Okay, so we're going to kind of start there. We're also going to talk about some of the things that have been said since the unaliving of Representative Hortman and the attempted unaliving of Senator Hoffman. And we're going to talk about those things as well, because I think it's important. It is important to know what your president is saying about those kind of things. It's important to know what they are saying after those things have occurred. It's important to know what legislators are saying. The people that are leading us How are right and what hasn't been said? Exactly, Cheryl. All of those things are important. So I do want to talk about that. And then I also want to touch on the media. What's up, Alexander? As well. No, it won't be the same judge because it's going to an appellate court. Yes, baby. Yep, as soon as I'm done working. Yeah. So let me just be clear. This is now in the Ninth Circuit at the appellate court. And that judge will be a different judge, obviously, than the first judge that heard it. But I think everyone is expecting for the state of California to win again, because of the legal arguments in which the first judge made. I think the only thing that may be different, right? What's up, Jeff Kennedy? Good to see you. Is that this judge went a step further and did not just say, rule that the Trump administration didn't have the ability to federalize National Guard, but it literally said turn them back over to Gavin Newsom right now and begin removing, right? And so I think that's one of the things that I wonder if this appellate court will take any issue with and say maybe this judge went a step too far because it granted more than they asked for. Okay. But that's okay. Judges can do that sometimes. They can give the plaintiff more than what they ask for. Thank you, Cam. In cases, as long as they have the jurisdiction to do so. And so we're going to be looking at, kind of what gets said in court today, what the outcome is. I know that Peter is going to join us later. Remember that Peter is in California where this is happening. So it is only 8:17 in the morning over there. What's up, user blessed? And so what will happen is there will probably be 2 lives today, one that happens between now and 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then again, probably around 2:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and going for a couple more hours. Hey, Alice, good to see you. Remember that at 6:30 p.m. today, we got a long day together. We got a long day together today. Remember that at 6:30 today, we are doing a workshop that is free and open to the public about influencing your friends and families, how to have, challenging conversations. We are going to be doing some active role playing together during that. The way that you can RSVP and get the link to join that workshop is in my link tree. So no matter where you are, if you are on TikTok, if you are on Facebook and YouTube, you can go to my profile. My link tree is there and it says new workshop, and you just click that and you can RSVP because that is today at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will run about 60 to 90 minutes and then we'll be done. Okay. So we've got a big, very, 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 very full day today. There was no way to know at the time that we scheduled this training, this workshop, that there was going to be an appellate court issue happening at the same time. Here's my thing. Let me give you a little bit of a disclaimer. This is my thought process. I believe that if the decision from the appellate court has not come in by the time that training starts, because that would be 3:30 p.m. Their time, Pacific Standard Time. If that decision is supposed to come in during that workshop, we might postpone it. Or we might cut it short in order to talk about that, because I know that Peter will be joining us. And so I think that takes precedent over that. And then we can always have it, Thursday or tomorrow or another day. The other thing to say about this is remember that the next workshop will be specifically on immigration. It will be specifically on immigration, how to have conversations regarding immigration law, understanding kind of what's the difference between what's happening now under Donald Trump compared to what happened under the Obama administration. Hey, Cheryl, good to see you as well. We're going to be talking about, so that's my thing, right? And so I think it's important for people to understand when we talk about immigration and criminality and, something or someone being here illegally, that people know what that is, right? Hey, Angel, and people are accurately informed as to what that is. So that's going to be the next one that is going to be scheduled. And so you'll look for that in my link tree and you will see it when it's open for people to register to RSVP. All right. So I think that's all of the level setting that I need to do for everyone right now. And so we're just going to go ahead and dive right in. Oh, thanks, Clayton. I appreciate that. Let me see what Mila needs. Yes, ma'am. What you need, baby? What you need, Shug? Nothing? Okay. Yeah, so she should be asleep because she didn't go to bed until very, very late, but she heard me up this morning getting ready for the gym. And it was I won't go with you, right? And she has like fought it since then. So I would not be surprised if she gets quiet and crashes while we're talking today, right? Nor will I be offended if that happens. All right, all right. So hey Gio. All right, so let's dive in. I really want to talk about. I want to first go to this story. That way, I can get it. Hey, Texas folks, and I want to just dive right in because oh he oh wow, y'all aren't talking because of different views regarding immigration. Sandra, is that why you and your husband aren't talking right now? Is because of your different views around immigration? Wow. Or around what's happening with Trump. Like there's a lot, right? Okay, so let's do this. I want to talk quickly about this particular story if I can find it again. Now that I'm ready and want to be able to go over it, can I find it amongst the bajillion things that I have up? Yes, I did. Love that for us. All right, so I'm going to share my screen over here. And then I'm going to share TikTok. I'm going to share it with you as well. Y'all know when I do that, I kind of have to move things around a little bit just so that everyone can see what they need to see. Your family is torn. You just want to pack up and move to Mexico. We're going to talk about immigration. So give me just a second. What's up, Reyes, retired? What's up, hospice nurse? So I want to talk about this story real quick because, like I said, I believe it to be important for us to humanize what it means to stop aid around the world. And, you know, a lot of people will talk about what that does in terms of an impact on us. And there is an impact on us, right? But I also want to talk about the impact to just regular people. And so I want to take a moment to share this article from NPR. All right. And this is important to me. So I want you to read this. Night had fallen hours ago, but Brilliance Chandway, let me just get this down, was not slowing down. On February 20th, he frantically tapped out texts on WhatsApp, dialed distant acquaintances, and left messages from his home in Zambia. He paused only to close his eyes and think of whom else he could reach out to for help. He urgently needed to find medication for Diana Lungo. She is an orphan and she is only 9. She is HIV positive and she had run out of the daily medication that she needs to suppress the virus. And without the pills, the virus would surge back. And he said, I called the whole night, calling everyone. I slept around 3 a.m. This is a reverend known as in his community as Pastor Billy. Not so loud, sissy. He sent messages like that even found their way to Thailand, where Susan Hillis was standing in an airport check-in line. It was in the wee hours of the morning there. She was headed home to the U.S. from a conference of Christian mission hospitals. And as she was listening to the message, she could sense the exhaustion and fear in his voice. And she knew how much Diana means to him. And she said, I was about 4 people from checking in, and I had tears in my eyes, and I was choked up, and I was thinking, she's going to unalive. She is going to unalive, right? Appreciate you for subscribing, Charles. And it was through her work in the faith community that she first connected with Pastor Billy and learned about Diana, this beautiful little girl with short cropped hair and a cautious but bright smile, right? So over the years, they have taken in more than 15 orphans into their home, Pastor Billy and his wife, Catherine, right? Raising them for periods of time alongside with their own 5 children. Some were sleeping in the kitchen, others in the sitting room, but they had somewhere to sleep. They had somewhere to lay their head. And so Diana had stayed with them off and on for years. And they said there was something different about this little girl, a generosity that took them both by surprise. Maybe there is tea, there is porridge, but any child nearby, Diana would share it with them, right? And the same thing happened when they gave her toys. She would always share it with the other children that were nearby. And this is Diana is an AIDS orphan who is HIV positive herself. She lost her mother. What? Okay, when I'm done. She lost her mother to that disease, and she lost her grandmother to C19. You can't do that because of TikTok, okay, babe? Hop up there, and then I'll help you when we're done. And so The only stability that she's had in her life is in large part thanks to the United States government, right? And so when you take that away, what happens? And so her medications and her care have been provided by a U.S. funded clinic with a big salmon colored gate in her town of Kapiri Mposhi. And a U.S. program supporting those type of orphans provided her with monthly food packages, often fish, beans, and cornmeal. Proper nutrition is critical when you take those types of meds for that condition, right? And so this PEPFAR, that's the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, that paid for all of it. And then came inauguration, right? And then what happened? You had an executive order that froze almost all of the foreign aid. And then all of these stop work orders followed, and program terminations for billions of dollars for international health programs. And so from one day to the next, her clinic went from providing life-saving medications to closing its doors without warning, guys. No time to get her medical file from the clinic and transfer it somewhere else. No time to plan on where to get the things that they had been providing from somewhere else. Nowhere to figure out where to get her monthly package of food. Every bit of it stopped without warning. This is crazy, right? I just want you all to think about this. Imagine your one source of proper nutrition and medication just literally being there one day and the next day shutting its doors. And you're a child. She's 9, right? And so Pastor Billy had moved to a different town at that time. He'd been transferred him to a different town. So someone else named Jennifer was taking care of Diana at the time. And she said, I don't have much, but I just have this big heart, she said. And so she has been able to bear the cost of raising Diana because of the PEPFAR program, because that covered the fees for her school books and her uniform, right? And that kind of security has given Diana a place of her own, right? To dream about what her future could be like. She walks 20 minutes to school every day down dusty, craggy roads. And she often dreams of becoming a doctor with a white coat and a stethoscope, moving from one bedside to the next, right? But on that February night, when Pastor Billy reached out to Hillis and almost a dozen other people, he learned that Diana had just run out of her daily medication. And so Hillis remembers thinking to herself in that airport line, quote, if it's happening to her, it's happening to a lot of people, right? There were 6.6 million orphans and vulnerable children supported in just 1 year, last year, by PEPFAR. I need you all to just sit with this for just a moment. 6.6 million orphans and children were supported last year alone by this program. This program talked a lot about having saved more than 26 million lives since it began in 2003. Holy crap, y'all. So check this out. President Bush, then George W. Bush, had created this initiative. And a few years after that, a bipartisan team of Democrats and Republicans made sure that 10% of the funding each year was set aside specifically for children and orphans with this disease. Last fiscal year, they spent just over $200 million on those youngsters, which is $31 per child supported. That's all it took. $31 per child. Yeah, baby. I'm working.
You're done?
Not yet, but I will be. Okay. So I want you all to see the chart that's in front of you. This is an analysis that was published in the medical journal, The Lancet, found that the intervention provided by PEPFAR and other programs in Africa led to a drop in the number of children orphaned by that disease annually. And you can see the very top, over 1.5 million, going all the way down below 500,000, right? I'm not going to do the whole article. This is enough to let you know. Hold on, sis. What? Yeah, you can do that one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link to this story in the chat. I'm going to go down just long enough for you to kind of see what does and doesn't happen. What's up, Jen? Good to see you, my friend. So this has helped not only with medicine, but with food, with clothing, with school fees, right? Along with psychosocial support to address the stigma that comes from having it. And remember, these children got it from their parents, right? It's through no fault of their own. So I just want to kind of, it talks about, so Eric Gooseby is the infectious disease person, the physician who actually oversaw the program for 4 years between 2009 and 2013, said that it's hard to overstate the impact of this program that is at once, quote unquote, very successful and quote unquote, largely unsung. He says, quote, the orphan and vulnerable children response that PEPFAR created was bigger than the Catholic Church, all added up in every country in terms of the number of orphans it saved. Listen to me, y'all. Did you hear what he said? This program, PEPFAR, had a bigger response than what the Catholic Church does if you add it up in every country in terms of the number of orphans that it saved. That was the largest effort on the planet. And now it's on hold. The U.S. State Department said in an emailed statement that while HIV treatment and care are allowed to continue, as well as prevention of mother-to-child transmission, quote, all other PEPFAR-funded services are being reviewed for assessment of programmatic efficiencies and consistencies with United States foreign policy. Now, I want you all to remember that we just learned that nutrition is central to the medications being effective, right? Having proper nutrition is necessary as part of this. So I just want everyone to understand that this is huge. And we are talking about 6.6 million orphans and vulnerable children. Why are we punishing babies? Because they have nothing to do with our politics. They have nothing to do with what's happening in this country. Hey, sis, can you sit right there and play it? Because when it chases you, you scream. In the game that she's playing, a big spider was chasing her. So I just want you all to understand that these babies have nothing to do with this, right? So these physicians have been reaching out within their network to kind of figure out exactly what the situation looks like, what, that network that was created over the last, quarter of a century, right? You now got to figure out, okay, so how do these physicians are trying to figure out what can they do? And the result is that a lot of these children are now hungry, right? A lot of these families aren't getting they're not getting that monthly food package anymore. So there's nothing to eat. And everybody is panicking about this beautiful little girl and her fate without her medication. I just want you all for a moment to look at her face. And I wonder why everyone isn't talking about this. Why aren't we talking about 6.6 million orphans and vulnerable children? because I bet that we would under different circumstances, right? Pastor Billy actually lost his twin, right? And so he understands what this looks like, and what happens when when those needs aren't met. I'm not gonna, like I said, this story is long. As you can see, I'm still scrolling, but I want you all to go read the rest of the story. I want you all to share information, post on your social medias, write to your representatives in Congress about the impact of these things. For $31 a day, right, we were able to feed, clothe, cover school fees, and provide necessary medication for 6.6 million orphans and children, right? But instead, we had a squeaky wheel parade. And this is a good reminder. I want you all to understand, when you don't think that this is an issue, you got to remember, right, that there's a reason that a former president declared this particular virus a threat to national security. We saw issues around transmission from country to country to country to country in 2020, did we not? So while people say, oh, well, that's not in our country, we don't need to worry about it, you absolutely do. You absolutely do, because people travel. We have American citizens from those countries that do travel home, that do come back, right? I think everyone needs to remember that we are literally all connected together. We are all literally connected together. And so we have to make sure that we are doing what's necessary to ensure the health and well-being and the safety of all of us, because we have the ability to do so, right? So a friend of mine and I, we always say something, we say this thing that says, if you have the ability to respond, then it is your responsibility, right? Why do we say that? Well, we say that because all of us don't have the opportunity. Hey, Rebecca. Hey, Penton. All of us don't have the same abilities to make impact. We understand that, right? That's exactly what we talk about when we talk about our circles of influence, the circles that we control, the circle that we influence, and the circle that's outside of both of those things, right? So when you do have the ability, that's what makes it your responsibility. This is not, y'all, I had a... Mila, do you see Tutu's Red Bull? Because Jesus knows I have one. I don't see it either. And Lord knows I need it. Maybe I didn't get it out, but I did. I cracked it open. I did, y'all. Sorry, this is me. And this ain't it. I know this ain't it, because it ain't cold enough. So here's my thing, Sharon, MBW. I think a lot of the wealthy, they do donate. They do those types of things. I think we also have to understand that there's a reason that we have these relationships, right, Jeremiah, with other countries, and we have a system. So you have to understand, one of the reasons why it is great to have specific organizations and governmental interaction is because you develop a program, a way of doing things, and a network. And it's easier when these things are funded and organized. So it's fine if additional monies come into these organizations, but when you have one government to another government that are facilitating these things, right? You develop a relationship, and we need relationships with each other within our countries, right? When we talk about national security, we need types of relationships where we are working together for the good of absolutely everyone, right? We need that. So I think that we do have that, but You know what I mean? I think that number one, if the rich paid their fair share appropriately, then people wouldn't have to do it independently, right? Because here's what happens, y'all: when rich people make donations to nonprofits, that's their tax write off, which just gives them more money of their own because less gets taken out, and they already don't pay enough, right? So it would solve a lot of our issues if the rich just paid their fair share, right? So I just want to say that real quick. 1 second, Mila, can you see if this is in the kitchen for Tutu? Look, one of these. Can you see if it's in the kitchen for me, please? Because oh my gosh, she screamed, yeah. But I don't. I must have. I don't know what I did, y'all. I did something. Y'all see me looking around like I'm crazy. Because I remember specifically cracking it open. But I don't know what I did with it. This is what you deal with, right? Holy geez. My brain, because there's so much happening in the world. I don't even remember where I put it. I don't know which. I'm going to look in just a second. So who knows what I did with it? Who knows? I wanted you all to know about this, and I want you all to take a minute. Good morning, EGJ, to share that information with other people. Appreciate you, Cam, for taking out the trash. But I want you all to share this with people in your community, in your network, in your circles of influence, because people need to know about these things. Y'all got it? I know, Granny. And I really do believe I've said it behind something, and that's why I can't see it right now, because I very clearly remember getting it out and opening it. So probably. I don't know what I did. So anyway, really quickly, can I get one of my regular break folks to pop up and just give a commercial break very quickly while I find my wings? And then we're going to dive right back in, because we're going to start to talk about Donald Trump. We're going to talk about the state of California. We are going to talk about the Title 10, the court case today, and all of those things. So I will be right back. Thank you, Jen. I appreciate you.
You're very welcome. Hi, everybody. It's been a minute. Wow, we have 300 people in here while Danny's going to get her wings. Please, everybody, remember to do the tapping is clapping. We're at almost 60,000 likes right now. Let's see if we can get to maybe even 65 by the time she gets back. Don't forget to give your daily heart me. That's the little heart to the right of Danny's name. If you're not following her yet, please give her a follow. She has the most information I've ever seen a creator provide on this app, I swear. But don't forget to follow her. And if you're already following her, press that little orange or red heart to the right of her name in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. Do that once a day. You get points on her in her little fan club. You can also get points by adding comments once you're on her team, and also by gifting if you have coins available to spare. It does cost 1 TikTok coin to join her team, so it doesn't cost any more coins. Like, after that, you just keep racking up your points, and you get that little Roman numeral in the heart next to your name, as you see a lot of people have in the chat already. And the more things that you gift, and the more things you do to help the TikTok algorithm, the higher your Roman numeral gets by your name. Other ways that you can help Danny are by subscribing. And subscribing, you can subscribe here, and you can also subscribe through her Discord, which, listen, I'm not going to go into all the different things, but I will mention that she does also live stream on YouTube and on Facebook. So in the event that this app goes away at some point in the future, we never know what's happening with this administration. But in case it happens, there are many other ways to connect with her. She also has a podcast. So it's always The Danny Cook. So you can look for her everywhere. If you want to subscribe, you can do so by either clicking through the little gift goal scrolling thing at the top middle part of her screen, or the bottom left symbol in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. And she does that for a very small amount, but you can get extra benefits through her when you subscribe with her. Like, for example, there is a subscription area of her Discord. Okay, I'm going to mention another free thing you can get, which is Danny's Linktree. If you're unfamiliar with Danny's content so far, please make sure you can go to her account through either this app or through any of the other apps that I just mentioned, and you can connect with her Linktree, which is like an immense amount of information, and that is free. Other ways you can do to help the TikTok algorithm is please click that little curved arrow in the bottom right hand corner of your screen. That's the share icon. If you don't have anybody specific you want to share it with, that's okay. Although we do prefer that. You can also click the little curved arrow and then click the copy link icon. That also helps. All of these things help the TikTok algorithm, help push our content out to the FYP. If you find this information valuable, then I'm sure you know other people will as well. And one of the main things that I find so valuable about Danny's Lives is that we are losing connection with people, right, through this division in our country right now. And Danny really focuses on connecting with people and kind of how to bridge some of the gaps that we're experiencing right now. So she does a lot of training. A lot of her training is free. And then she also gives exclusive content to people who subscribe. So don't forget there's extra things. If you want to gift outside of the app, you can also use her pay apps. And I'm trying to see, Danny, if you have your pay apps on your background. You don't have it right now. But she does have links. So she does have Venmo. She does have Cash App. And those help pay for things like all the paper that she prints to do all this research for us, the inkjet printer, the printer inkjet stuff, and then also highlighters, all the tools that she uses to bring us this information so that we don't have to do the work. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time that she dedicates to us, you guys. So please help her out in any way that you can. Understand if you can't do the things that cost money, please continue the clapping by tapping, and also please continue the sharing and caring methods with the bottom right hand arrow of your screen. Okay, so thank you, everybody. Danny, did you find your wings? You got your wings back?
I got wings. We're
all set with the wings. And
yes.
Thank you, everybody, for the little gifts you gave me while I was up here. That was very sweet of you guys.
Thank you, Jen. My amazing commercial break. Yes. Thank you very much,
and
Jen.
Look at the likes we got, you guys. You guys definitely understood the assignment. Great job. Let's keep it going.
Yep. Love that so much. Listen, appreciate the folks that are subscribing, the folks that are gifting subscriptions. I appreciate you all very much. I am tickled at Kiara. She said, holy link tree. Because when you look at the link tree, it is very extensive, and you could be in there for a very long time. I will give you this helpful tip when you're in the link tree. Yeah, some people do refer to it as a link forest these days. But for the most part, things are grouped in collections. I need to go through and just put some of the new things that I've recently added into any collection that they're there. And thanks, Teresa. Good to see you. But because things are so extensive, Carolyn, can you give me a little bit more information about the PSA? I'm always very cautious when people say, can I just say something real quick, a PSA, because I am, if I do that, then people think that I'm co-signing the PSA, and I try to kind of like want to know what the PSA is so that I know, in fact, I just want to be responsible. I hope that makes sense. I don't know. I think I know you, but I don't know. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's something that we talk about all the time, but yeah, you're sure. Hey, Mary, what's up, BNT? Oh, is this Carlin?
Hey. Yeah, this is Carlin. We met earlier this week. I'm a Democrat from Minneapolis.
It took me a second to be like, let me see. I was like, I think I know who this is, but I'm not sure. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And a mutual friend of ours on this app actually linked me, sent me a message that you were online right now, and I jumped right on board because earlier today I made a video calling my elected officials, and I wanted to share with you guys. There's this handy app that I downloaded a couple of months ago. See my phone. See that one? It's called 5 Calls.
Yep.
And what it'll do is it'll give you top issues that you can call your elected officials about. And if you're nervous, it'll give you a synopsis, including links about what the topic is. And then it'll give you a script and tell you the phone number. You just call the phone number, read the script, and give them your name and address so it counts. And that's it. It's so easy. Do not be afraid to call your elected officials. We now have technology to make it very, very easy for you.
Hey, Rosalind. Yeah, 100%.
That's all I wanted to say. Thanks so much.
Appreciate you, Carlin. Yeah, so we talk about 5 Calls a lot. Let me say this, folks. When you use 5 Calls, it's a great starter. Like if you're just getting familiar with calling your elected officials, it's a great starting point. What I encourage people to do is to look at the information that 5 Calls gives you, and then try to make it state specific or person specific as well. take that script and personalize it so that it sounds like you. I know that can be challenging if you're not familiar with that sort of thing. And let me say this, it's really important because if everyone calls and everyone says the exact same words, then they tend to dismiss it after a while, right? Because a lot of people are using 5 calls. So use it as a beginning tool to get you comfortable, and then personalize it. Tweak it so that it fits your state. If you're calling about Medicaid, remember that in my link tree, there's a whole section of Medicaid resources. A lot of it is by state, and it is by state specific. There's also a template email in there. So let me share with you why that is so great. So how many of you guys are familiar with ALEC, A-L-E-C? Hey, P. Jones. Hey, Rosalind. How many of you guys are familiar with ALEC? I know some of you guys that follow me a lot, you know what ALEC is, but there's a lot of people who don't know. Well, let me say it this way. Who's not familiar with ALEC? Not yet, Carlin? Oh, Carlin. Okay. I'm going to give you some information and you're going to be like, woohoo. Okay. So listen, the American Legislative Education Council is called ALEC. And the people who belong to this organization are your representatives and corporations. You heard me say that, right? It is your representatives and corporations. And so what happens a lot of times is, depending upon who the organizations are, who the corporations are that are partners with, that are partnering with ALEC, that are part of ALEC, a lot of times you will see legislation that benefits those corporations be introduced by the representatives and senators that are also members of ALEC. I mean, what a coinkydink, right? ALEC goes so far as to provide this legislation to your representatives, and it is literally fill in the blank. So the entire law, the entire bill is written and designed by ALEC, and then it just has like a fill in the blank where it says insert state. So as long as your representative can write the name of your damn state, they can introduce this legislation. It's literally happened so much and so irresponsibly that there have been lawmakers who forgot to take the ALEC logo off the bill when they introduced it. Okay. A lot of the bills that were introduced around correctional facilities and for-profit prison systems is because one of the biggest corrections organization was part of ALEC at that time, right? So what I chose to do was use something from ALEC's playbook. So what I did was I made a template email around, yeah, Jeremiah. So what I did was I made a template around Medicaid using ALEC's idea. And what I did was I wrote this email and then I put the blank so that the blank is where you put in your legislator's name, right? The next blank is where you put in your state. And then the other blanks are where you put in your state's Medicaid information. And then I actually gave you the link to just do a drop-down box, pick your state and get your state's information, and then be able to sign your name. It's highlighted in yellow. So as long as you, my friends, can fill in the blank, you can write your elected officials and give them your state-specific information regarding Medicaid. Isn't that great? The thing that I love about emailing, even more than I do about calling your representatives, is the thing that I love about emailing is that in my emails, I will tend to ask for a response within 7 days, right? I will ask that in my first email. If I do not get a response in seven days, I will send another email and I will say second request, right? And then I will let them know that I am going to post this email on my socials, and then I tag them. And then I tag local media in those same things. And then what happens? Now, all of a sudden, your elected official is afraid to have constituents saying, my elected official is ignoring me. Because y'all, a non-response is as bad as a negative response, right? And so then when you post it, you can absolutely tag them in it, tag press in it, and say, hey, it took me 3 times reaching out about Medicaid. And these are the number of people in our state that are going to be impacted by any type of Medicaid cut. And this is how long it took for you to even get back to me about that. Or this is what you had to say about that, right? So unfortunately, we live in a time where we have to hold people accountable. BBQ, I beg to differ. They all do care. Let me tell you, because she said Rafael Cruz doesn't care. He does. And here's the thing that people are learning. And this is what's really going to start to shift the tide a little bit. in all of those predominantly red states, right? Where they saw millions of people in the streets, not just in Democratic cities in those red states, but also in predominantly red towns in those states. They are now starting to understand that there are people in that their constituents don't agree with this administration. Their constituents do not want their Medicaid cut. Their constituents will vote their asses out if they don't get on the ball, right? So what you have to make them understand is they might not care about people, but they sure as hell care about their seat in Congress. They care about that 6-figure paycheck. They care about that government insurance. They care about all of that, right? And so when we start to team together and make it apparent to them that that's what's going to happen, then they start to care. And I don't really care what motivates them as long as they get motivated to do what we want them to do. So all of that, again, is in the link tree. And maybe what I will do, how about I do this? I'll do a little screen recording today. And I will show people how to access it. And I'll post it on my TikTok. That way people will know where to go, where to access the email and all of that, and where to get the data. Okay? How does that sound? So we'll do that today as well. But again, so we've covered that NPR story about the PEPFAR program and the significance that it has had on the lives of 6.6 million people ever since. And when I say people, I mean orphans and vulnerable children since the Trump administration cut that off, right? Yeah, you're very welcome. Yep, we do have a subwave going on right now. And what that means, folks, is if you choose to subscribe, I do have one of the lowest subscribers things that TikTok allows. They just set it at $2.99. And whenever there's a subwave going on, I think it means that your first month is $2.59 or $2.69, something like that. So I think we have we have 3 minutes for there to be one more. Got it? So again, yep, there's one left in this subwave. So error 404, if you would like to discuss NPR with me, I just recommend that you click the little box that says request, or click the little blue and pink people and come on up here and we will talk the facts about NPR and whether it is leftist garbage or not. Okay, let's do that. All right. Mimi, good morning. What you got for me?
Hi, good morning, Danny. Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Love your show. I'm here all the time. I'm watching. I'm working. Okay, I just had a quick question because I know you get so much information. Sometimes I'm popping in and out, so I don't know if it's in the link tree or not. But you just brought it up, so I just wanted to get it out quick.
Sure.
With the representatives, so for people who live in states or cities or what have you, and our representatives have said that they support what the administration is doing.
Mm-hmm.
In what way should we reach out to them? Like, how should that go, if that makes sense?
Yeah. So for me, it's the same, right? I'm going to talk to friendlies and non-friendlies the same way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to them about constituents. And typically what I will do is I will find something else that they've said that contradicts what the administration is doing, right? You can look up their campaign promises. You can look up their issues that are on their platforms, right? And you can see where they say they support A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z. And then what you do is you use the facts to combat what they've said. So, for example, if I were talking about, I'm just going to do it. How about I'll just do it while I'm on here. Somebody give me a right-leaning, give me a GOP congressperson that has said they support the cutting fraud, waste, and abuse by the Trump administration. Just give me one of them. Anybody? Marsha Blackburn. You know I can't stand old Marsha. Fuck her. Sorry, I really don't like her. I have a strong disdain for her, and it's because I met her in person, and she really is a horrible human being. So sorry, y'all. I didn't mean to be just like fuck her, but yes, that's really what I mean. I don't like her. You see how quickly it happened? Just bloop right out of my mouth. Okay, so give me a second. So Marsha Blackburn. So I'm going to go to her campaign website, right? For U.S. Senate. Boom. All right. So now I'm on her campaign site. Why is that important? Because this is where they talk all that shit and they make all these blatant promises, right? Right, Wanda. Sorry, not sorry. She knows I don't like her ass. She literally knows that. And I am happy about that. Cool. Here's what I believe. There are some people that I'm okay if they don't like me. And if they did like me, I would be concerned about who I am. Right. But here we go. So I am going to very quickly go to her issues page if she has one, which she should. In the news, Freedom Rings podcast, donate with BitPay. I don't know that she has an issues page anymore. She has a big Truth Social post by Donald Trump up. I don't see an issues page, which would be interesting. So Mimi, I would actually mention that. Here's what I would do. If I were writing Marsha Blackburn, I would say to her, dear Senator Blackburn, right? I have seen information saying, that you support the Trump administration and the actions that they are taking, right? I have concerns around Medicaid and the number of people that are on Medicaid in the state of Tennessee who may lose their coverage if this, the One Big Beautiful Bill is passed. So I went to your website to see what you say about Medicaid and healthcare in the state of Tennessee, and I could not find healthcare or any other issue on your website. So I don't know where you stand on this issue, which is concerning to me. And I would do this. Then I would start to give you Tennessee's stats. So watch this. And I would say, hold on, I'm going to pull it up. KFF. Here we go. And then I would say, I am concerned because 1.5 million Tennesseans are on Medicaid in the state. I'm concerned because I can't see what you think about 48% of those people being children. What are we going to do if 750,000 children in the state of Tennessee no longer have Medicaid? I really would like to know, because 30% of the people on Medicaid are in rural towns. You know that Tennessee is the second. It's a state, it's either first or second in medical bankruptcies, right? And in rural hospital closures. So if half of the people on Medicaid in our state are children, and 30% of the people on Medicaid in our state live in rural communities, I would think that as my United States Senator, you would be extremely concerned about the potential for Medicaid cuts and the impact on Tennesseans all across our state. So I would like for you to reply to me within 7 business days and tell me where I can, number one, find your issues and your stances on issues and policies that are important to the lives of Tennesseans. Number 2, your response specifically about this One Big Beautiful Bill and the Medicaid cuts that are described in this bill, along with SNAP, right? And if you could provide that to me within 7 days, because we know that this bill is moving fastly, that would be fantastic, and I would greatly appreciate it. Boom. And that would be my first email to her. So what have I done there? I have number 1. And so I'll clip this for you guys and I'll throw it up on my TikTok so you guys can watch it. How about that? I'll take just that little example that we just did, because I literally looked up Tennessee stuff. And if you want to know, the link where to look up your state is in my link tree. It's in the Medicaid resources doc. So you can click that link, get your state's information, and I don't have to quote all 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stats. I can just pick out the 2 that are huge, right? I'm asking for a reply, right? And I'm giving her a time frame in which I would like for her to reply. And I'm not going to make it unreasonable. I'm going to give you an entire week, because that's how long you have to reply if I'm issuing you a FOIA request. So and so I'm letting you know that I know where you're lacking, and I know the number of people it would impact in this state. Is that helpful, Mimi?
Yes, that's very helpful, especially what you said, because one of our senators in our state did not have anything on their page. I went to it during before the election because I just wanted to see, what they were saying to people, because the ads they were running were so they were really bad. So I just want to know their thing, but you have to pay to see anything on the website. So what you gave was a great example, especially for them. So
yeah. So and
yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah, for those of you guys who don't know what a FOIA is, it's the Freedom of Information Act. There is also in the link tree is information about the Freedom of Information Act. There are examples, there are templates of how you can use the Freedom of Information Act to get information. There are free workshops that I have done around getting into good trouble. That I believe one of them is up on my YouTube. I don't know if I got the second one put up or not, but if I didn't, I will. And that way you can know how to use a Freedom of Information request and how to get the information that you want. So those things are in the link tree. But yeah, I'm glad that was helpful, Mila. Mimi, Jesus.
Thank you. Will you drop me down, please?
I got you. Appreciate you. Look, I called you Mila because my grandbaby over here is Mila and we call her Mimi. Okay, so my link tree, folks, is no matter where you are seeing me at, if you are on the Tube of You or the Book of Faces or TikTok, all you have to do is go to my profile on those. My link tree is there. You just click it and it's there. I know people call it a link forest, a link jungle. There's a lot of information in there. But there's a Google Drive that I've created specifically around a lot of these issues. And how to get information and how to talk to your representatives. Remember, it's not about a gotcha moment, but do you see the way that I said that is, hey, I wanted to see, what does that say? That said, I'm not saying, and it is free, it is a link free. I'm not saying, oh, I already assume that you're for it, right? I said, hey, I went to your website to specifically see your policies around healthcare for Tennesseans, because I know that you said you support this bill, and there was nothing there. Shut up, Sandy. Sandy said she fell asleep one night going through my link tree. But anyway, so that's how I would do it. Yeah, but Sandra, so that's your governor, right? Your governor doesn't have anything to do with your congressional representatives, your members in Congress right now. And there's a lot of information. Yeah, you always listen, Blue, that is my thing. I will always use your own words and your own promises to hold you accountable, right? You all see me do that with people. When people come up here and they say, you know, I'm a Christian and this, that, and the other, and that's why I don't support A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, or I do support this, I'm going to now use Christianity and what it means to be a Christian to hold you accountable for what you're saying. I'm not going to do it unless you tell me that's your stance. And once you tell me that that's your stance and that's who you are, then I'm going to hold you accountable to the thing that you say that you are. Period. Right? So hopefully that helps. And like I said, we're going to be role playing. Yes, Sheila said, wow, you have a lot on your link tree. Yeah, there's a lot. What is my occupation? I'm a consultant, Geraldine. Yeah. Okay. So next let me do, before I move on, do we have any other questions about Medicaid or SNAP cuts or any of that? Nope. If not, then I'm going to move on to Title 10. Let me see. Yeah, I'm going to move on to Title 10. Okay, Geraldine, what's your question? Appreciate you guys for liking and sharing the lives. You're absolutely crushing it. Appreciate you. I'm not sure what you mean when you say, what about the children that need it? Because my position, I'm saying, I think Cam, she's saying, what about the children that need Medicaid? And I'm saying that's why this one big, beautiful bill should not be passed, because they do need it. Yeah, they do need Medicaid, which is why the bill shouldn't be passed and why we should keep it. We shouldn't have any cuts to Medicaid. And if there's something that I'm missing and you want to join the panel, because sometimes it's easier to ask your question verbally than to type it. Sometimes things get lost in translation when you're typing. So if you want to join the panel, just hit the little request box down there, or the pink and blue people at the bottom of the screen. Sometimes that's easier to do. Camille, tell me what you don't understand. So what was happening initially was we were talking about contacting representatives, right? We were talking about ways to do that through phone calls, the 5 Calls app, and writing emails. And then Mimi came up to the panel and asked me, how would you do that? And so then I was responding to that question. Court will be starting right now. It's 9 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock. Court starts in California. And so, yeah, that's what's happening. What's up, Rami's mom? Okay. So let's go ahead and dig on in really quickly. I'm going to look for court, right? Appeals court, San Fran. Boo, boo, boo. What? Live. Let's just see if anybody, of course they are. So PBS went live an hour ago. And so the hearing, okay, so listen to this. This is important. Good information. So even though court starts, it doesn't mean that the case is going to be heard like at 9 a.m. So here's what it says. The court hearing is expected to begin at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's when the hearing is going to begin. And, last time it was several hours. And then it was around, I want to say 8:30 p.m. our time before we had a decision. So that's the time frame. So we might move tonight. Noon for you, Linda. And so the hearing will start at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And last time we didn't get a decision until like 5:30 Pacific time, 9 o'clock our time. Give me the bag. It's right there. And I'll give you some more. So on that note, thank you, Rami's mom. We might move tonight's workshop so that we can be here together, because one of the attorneys, folks, that is actually part of the team in San Francisco today arguing the case has been on my live twice. They were on with me yesterday afternoon, last night. They were on with me I think Friday, and he promised to come back today. This is the appellate court, Blue, yes, around returning the control over the California National Guard back to Gavin Newsom, and taking care of that. Yep, that's what this is. All right, there you go, sis. Okay. Yeah, last week and yesterday. If we move it, does it change anything? Do we have to sign up again? No, you don't. All that happens is, Uka, nope. When I reschedule it, you just get an email for the new day. That's it. You don't have to reschedule anything. You don't do anything. You don't have to change anything. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the Title 10 and the federalizing of the National Guard. We will talk about the reasons that I believed we were going to win the first case, and we did. And the ruling that the judge gave. Yeah, I think so too, Donoski. I think it's a good idea to move it as well. So yeah, I agree. But I want to talk about that so that everybody understands the way that things go. And maybe, yes, we talked. Yes, Dr. Emmy, 100%. And we're going to get to that one too. You love number 22 podcast. Desi, I don't even know what numbers they are. Somebody listened to, is it the last episode, Desi, on the podcast that you really liked? I should probably know like what numbers my podcast episodes are. I don't know. It's the last one. Yeah. We went to church in that one a little bit. We absolutely did. So Masani says the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has a YouTube channel that you can watch, but I wonder if it's going to be live or not. Right? What's up, Siberio? Well, Brat, that's the reason there's an appellate court today. Yeah, there's an appellate. That's why the appeals court is hearing this case that will determine that, right? So just so everybody knows. So let me pop in here. For those of you guys who don't know, the podcast is called The Danny Cook Show. It is pretty much everywhere where you can listen to podcasts. So whether you're on Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Audible, iHeart, whatever, it's on those places. So you just look at The Danny Cook Show and you will find the podcast. Matter of fact, there's a new episode that comes out at midnight tonight. So Brad, so I would imagine that, that because they were part of the same movement, Tina Bina, sorry about that. I would imagine that it will also be addressed. So, but we'll see, because the Marines, my understanding, are only around the federal buildings. And so that may be a thing, but we'll see, right? I don't know. All right. So let me get in here. So first of all, let me back up and talk to you guys very quickly, because I have heard people say that because Donald Trump is the president of the United States and the executive branch, that he can make these choices and that federal judges don't have the authority to tell him differently. And that's incorrect. So just as a basic kind of civics lesson, just to set the foundation, is we understand that we have three separate but equal branches of government, right? It is, Kusi, if you would like to have that conversation, join the panel. Yeah, Akari. Exactly, Hawk, checks and balances. So that's the thing that's really important to understand, is they are three separate branches, but they are separate but equal, right? Oh, Dennis, you don't even believe that yourself. Dennis, I sent you an invitation to come join the panel. Come on, let's come discuss your theory there that says Trump can do whatever he wants. Come join the panel, Dennis, because I don't think you really believe that yourself. Like, I just don't think you really believe that. I think you're just here to stir up shit. And if you do believe that, there are, matter of fact, there are online courses that you can take about civics that will explain it to you. By the way, Dennis, Harvard offers free online courses as well. There's one coming up on the 25th of this month that talks about the Constitution. So yeah, you might want to just register for one of those right now. Right. Oh, Cam, I should do that. Hold on. Let me just see. I'm gonna do something real quick. Let me just see if I can find something. Oh my gosh. We're gonna do it, y'all. We are gonna do it. Hold on. Oh my gosh, this is going to be so much fun. Okay, so let me just do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm now going to share this with you guys over there on the Tube of Faces and the Facebook. Okay, so here we go. I might have a commercial first.
Last, the three-ring government.
Gonna have a three-ring circus someday. People will say it's a fine one, son. Gonna have a three-ring circus someday. People will come from miles around. Lions, tigers, acrobats, and talkers and clowns. Oh Lord, tightrope walkers, pony riders, elephants, and so much more. Guess I got the idea right here at school. Felt like a fool when they called my name, talking about the government and how it's arranged, divided in three like a circus. Ring one, executive, two is legislative, that's Congress. Ring three, judiciary, see it's kinda like my circus. Step right up and visit ring number one. The show's just begun to meet the president.
See?
I am here to see that the laws get done. The ringmaster of the government.
He really is the ringmaster of the circus today.
Hurry, hurry, hurry to ring number two. See what they do in the Congress. Passing laws and juggling bills. Oh, it's quite a thrill in my Congress. Focus your attention on ring number three. The judiciary's in the spotlight. The courts take the laws and they take the crimes, balancing the wrongs with your rights.
Look at that.
No one part can be
Listen.
more powerful than any other.
No one can be, no part can be more powerful than the other.
The other, you see, and that's what we call checks and balances.
Checks and balances.
Berlin says, well, everybody's act is part of the show, and no one's job is more important.
No one's job is more
The
important.
audience is kind of like the country, you know, keeping an eye on their performance. Ring one, executive, two is legislative, that's Congress.
Don't you love this?
Ring three, judiciary. See, it's kind of like my circus. My circus, you're gonna have a three-ring circus someday. People will say it's a fine one, son. But until I get it, I'll do my thing. With government, it's got three rings.
Government has three rings. No branch can be more powerful than the other, right? It's called checks and balances. So I hope that this has been helpful, Dennis. For those of you guys who aren't sure how we ended up on YouTube watching Schoolhouse Rock, it's because Dennis came in and said, Trump can do anything he wants. And I said, no, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. So just, I just want to let everybody know, I will, Tracy, but I just want to let everyone know that, that's how the three branches of government works, right? They are separate and equal, none more powerful than the other. Hi, Cam.
How are you? No, I'm not up here for long because I am quote unquote working. But yeah, as soon as I saw that, I instantly was like, Schoolhouse Rock, like he needs this ASAP. That's why I put it in the chat. And honestly, you need it, and I came up here because you probably need to add that one. And I'm just a bill
To the link tree
and make a little funnies, a little section for funnies or something.
Yeah.
That little troll section, and that way you can point them directly to resources if they need it.
Yeah, 100%.
Because even the I'm Just a Bill one, they need that.
Yeah, the I'm Just a Bill and how it works. Yeah. I think that, I will take you up on that, and I'll absolutely add it to the link tree. Because I mean, it's incredible to me how many grown adults that are citizens of this country have no clue how the government works. None. Right. And what's really funny is the immigrants that they want to get out of the country know more about the country than they do.
Right. Because I mean, they even have like TikToks about that, or about, the 10 questions that you might need to do to get your citizenship, do the citizenship test. And
Yep.
A lot of times Americans can't even pass that.
No.
No,
they cannot. No, they cannot. Yeah. So appreciate you. Yes, I will add that to the link tree.
Please do. Okay.
All right, appreciate you. Yeah, you know, you just never know where the day is going to take us, do you? Yeah, this is why it's not a good idea to defund public education, but rather to appropriately fund it, right? That would be the better option because, yeah, just saying. What's up, Gentle H2O? All right, so let's get into Title 10. Okay, so again, as I was saying before, Dennis came in with his misinformation. All right, give me a second before we get into this. Good afternoon, Kenneth. What you got for me?
How you doing? I was just I'm concerned like you because people think that when we say they have co-equal and they have the same powers, equal powers, I think that's it's not really true. You know what I mean? So I hate for that to get out, like that being the truth. Because the president has far more powers than the judiciary or even the Congress. So.
Except that he doesn't.
I mean, I think it's proven right now. That's why they had the whole, I guess, the No Kings rally, because the president is exerting his true Article 2 powers.
He's not. No, that's not why we're having No Kings.
Not used to it because I mean, like Biden, he was so feckless in the.
So Kenneth, I don't know if you missed it, but we're not talking about Joe Biden. Like Joe Biden's, yeah, but we're not comparing. We are talking about the current administration and current issues. So yeah, we're not here to talk about Joe Biden, right?
Okay,
so
that's
yeah, so what we want to understand. Yeah, but we don't do that here, right? We don't do comparisons. I know that there's a lot of lives that you participate in that like to do that. We don't do that, right?
Okay.
And so yeah, we don't do that here. I don't think that you've ever been on my panel. I've been on other panels with you. But what I will say is that what we understand is that they are separate but equal branches, and their power lies in different capacities, right? So the beautiful thing about the judiciary, this is why we are a democratic constitutional republic, right? Is if the people that are elected begin to do things that violate the rights of the people that elected them, you have a judiciary which interprets the Constitution and its laws and reins that branch back in to say, no, that's not something that you can do, right? And so that's the reason why we have those checks and balances in those three systems.
I just have a problem with the notion that somehow this No King protest was legitimate, because there's no way that Trump has violated or broken any constitutional amendments or anything like that.
Right. I mean, you're entitled to have your opinion and you're entitled to have a problem with it. But I think what you're not entitled to do is, ignore fact. Right. And so I think what has happened is that the judiciary, I know, Candy, the judiciary has already said that the administration did in fact violate the Constitution, and they've said that in more than one case, right?
Which
so
case was that, though?
They said it. They said it in the Kilmar Abrego case. They said it in the 200,000. Kenneth, hold on a second.
Case?
Kenneth, let me finish.
I just want to be clear. You talk about the facilitation argument?
No, I'm talking about the deportation of someone without due process, and due process is in the 5th and 14th Amendment, right? So that's a constitutional case.
That doesn't apply to illegals, though.
It does, though, and that's what the Supreme Court ruled.
No, it doesn't.
Kenneth,
No, it doesn't.
Kenneth, if you're going to be here with me,
Okay,
right,
sorry.
you're not going to talk over me.
I have a problem.
So,
I have a real problem.
Nope, I would like for you to just hold on for just a moment, okay? Because what the Supreme Court ruled 9-0, so unanimously, the Supreme Court ruled that due process does in fact apply to any person in the United States of America, not just citizens. And if you don't know that, then you can go back and read the court decision from April 7th. I'm definitely not going to read it for you or to you, but that's where you can find that decision and that it's already been cleared up.
April 7th decision?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And they said that they deemed that illegals have the same rights as citizens?
They
Or due
so
process?
let's be clear. We're gonna use the
Undocumented, that document, okay, that better. Undocumented.
so we're gonna use the appropriate language. It's funny you already knew, right? I didn't even have to tell you what you said that wasn't accurate. You corrected yourself. Isn't that funny? No, you already knew. You already knew exactly what it was, right? And so that's
I know they go by
yeah.
different
So
names,
listen.
you know?
So that's the thing that you want to do, Kenneth. You like to use language that you think is going to be, rage baiting or whatever, right? It's very simple, right? Okay. So in that court case, right? And I'm just going to tell you exactly. Whoo,
Can you give me the court case? I can look it up with you.
Um,
We can do a joint.
No, okay. And I'm sorry, it was the 10th. Sorry, it's the 10th, not the 7th. So on the 10th, and actually they did one, there was a opinion on the 7th too, but the 10th and the 7th, you will see this is Nome versus Abrego Garcia. And it was a 9-0 decision, right? Where they already said that due process applies to any person. That's the interpretation. And this is not the only case. You can actually listen to a lot of other cases throughout the history of the Supreme Court where the interpretation of the 14th and the 5th Amendment is that it's any person, right? So that's something that I'm not going to argue. And the reason I'm not going to argue it is because it's fact and you can read those court cases yourself.
I thought that's going to be determined because they just put up to the Supreme Court not too long ago whether or not, because Trump made it a point to say, hey, these are the black amendments. And we want to make sure that they're recognized as black amendments. And I think the court has yet to decide whether or not those were the black amendments. I think that you can't say that they've already decided what the court is doing it right now.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm literally just going to say, I'm literally just going to lay it out very clearly that no. And so for those of you guys who don't understand what Kenneth is trying to do now, Kenneth is someone who likes to say that certain amendments were only written for black people. And so his stipulation is that a certain set of amendments, starting with the 13th Amendment and beyond, were black amendments. And so this is what he likes to do in terms of trying to bait things and have some sort of whatever. I already know, I'm very familiar with Kenneth already, right? And the only reason Kenneth is on my panel is because there's 400 and some odd other people in here who may be misinformed. And I just use this time with Kenneth on the panel to provide accurate information for those who don't know, right?
Is the 13th for black people?
So the 13th Amendment is very clear. Did you read it?
Is it for black people? I'm asking, is it for black people?
The 13th Amendment is for everyone.
The 13th for the anti-slavery, that wasn't for black people
so,
specifically?
So does the 13th Amendment say that it only belongs to a certain group of people?
No, I'm just asking.
No, it doesn't, right?
I just want to make sure
I want to be clear as well. I want to be clear as well. So what I'm going to ask you, Kenneth, here's what I'm going to ask you. Can you show me where in the 13th Amendment it says this amendment is for black people?
No, because we were the slave.
No, but I'm asking you, where can, Kenneth, no, we're going to be specific. Yeah, right? We're going to be very specific. So this is the question that I am asking you. Mm-hmm. Where in the 13th Amendment or any other amendment can you say that it specifically says, point out to me where it says that this is specifically for black people?
I think the civil conflict kind of determined,
No, I didn't ask you what you think. I didn't ask you what you think. I'm asking you. So, Kenneth, do you know what the... I'm aware. I'm aware. That doesn't matter.
No, I used to tell my students that these were the black amendments.
Well, and you know what? Whatever you used to teach your students is completely between you and the school that allowed you to teach, right? What I'm going to say, nope. Kenneth, I'm asking you to answer this specific question, right? Show me where in the 13th Amendment that it says that this amendment is for black people.
I done anything.
Okay, go wash your hands.
I don't watch them for me.
It's because you're tired, ain't it? Yeah.
It says it abolishes the involuntary servitude that was suffered upon Black people.
Okay, so let me just kind of let me help you with it. Hold on, Sissy. Tutu's gonna come help you. Okay, you ready?
And the 15th seems to be for Black people.
Well,
too, right?
nope. Hold on. We're gonna do this because I like accuracy and facts, not how you choose to interpret it. Okay, so what I like is the actual facts, right? So give me 1 second. So I, Kenneth, am on the constitution.congress.gov website. And here is what it says. Section 1, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Section 2, Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation, right? So nowhere in there does it specify any particular group of people as the beneficiaries of the 13th Amendment, correct?
You're right.
Okay,
You're
so
right.
wait, so let me give you to hold on just 1 second, Kenneth. If you can just, for me, give me 1 second. You guys, let me help Mila rinse her hands off, okay? Sissy, come right up here.
It's crazy. I thought the 13th and 15th.
Wait. I asked you to hold on. I asked you to hold on and not talk. Hold on. Thank you. Hop up here, sis.
I guess the 15th.
I asked you to hold on, Kenneth. Don't make me boot you. Don't do that. Right? You like the attention, so just give me a moment. There you go, sis. Oh,
This would be a perfect time I get my
Kenneth,
argument out.
I asked you to be quiet. Thank you. Thank you for being able to follow instructions, right? I've got a 4-year-old
Thank
right
God
here
for the
that
13th
Kenneth,
Amendment. I can
keep
follow
it
instructions.
keep it tight, Kenneth. You're doing so great. You're doing so great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Black woman.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, Black woman.
All right,
Patting me on the
here you
head.
go,
The
Sissy.
light
all
skinned black
done.
people patting me on the head.
All right, friend. So we just read the 13th Amendment together, right? Yes,
We did. Yeah,
we did.
read it.
And what we know is that the 13th Amendment does not specify a particular group of people, correct?
No.
Well, you just agreed to that.
No, I didn't. And I would never agree to that ever in my life.
Okay. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that's okay. You don't
Now,
have
I
to.
would never agree that the 13th Amendment was not for Black people.
Oh, well, let me just tell you all. Listen, y'all. Kenneth, don't let Kenneth upset you. Do not let Kenneth upset you. Do not let Kenneth upset you. Don't do that.
You're the one.
He's going to try his best. He is going to try his best. Yeah, he's going to try his best. Because here's what's going to happen this whole time. I know what he said. Do not worry about Kenneth. Listen to me. Listen, just be very clear. No, listen, y'all, listen. There are people who think like Kenneth that the president can do whatever he wants, that the Constitution doesn't matter, that the judiciary doesn't have the right to interpret the Constitution and apply law and address the administration and to put an injunction upon them, to hold them in contempt, to do all of those things, right? But Kenneth knows that they do, right? And what he likes to try to do, so if you notice, first he tried it with Black, right? Well, first he tried it with Biden, then he went to Black, right? Then when Black didn't work, he went to colorism. So listen, he's going to attempt to do that. But you know what's going to be interesting is in the middle of all of this, I am going to show fact after fact after fact. And the other 450 some odd people that are in the room right now are going to hear that fact. And do you know what else is going to happen? There will be other people who behave like Kenneth and who have behaved like him. And they're going to realize that this is what they look and sound like. And they're going to be like, oh shit. You know, those people who go on like reality television or they go on Jerry Springer and all of a sudden when they see the episode, they're like, what the fuck was I doing? Those people are going to see themselves in Kenneth and be like, I don't want to be like Kenneth. And then that's a win for everyone, right? So we're going to just take this moment by moment. We're going to talk about facts. We are definitely not going to let Kenneth be upsetting to anyone. And then we're going to continue to talk about, you know, the court case and how things are happening. Okay, that's what we're going to do today. So you guys just breathe, and we're going to be just fine. Okay.
You're waiting to exhale. Is that
Who
what you're
is?
breathing? You're waiting. Woosah, woosah.
Who's waiting to exhale?
Num Yoko Reikio. Go ahead and do their thing.
Are you mocking religion, Kenneth?
Yeah, okay, no, I'm not.
Well, it sounded like it. Like it literally just sounded to me like you were making a mockery of Buddhism.
This is where the crash out comes. Is it when you crash out?
Crash out where?
Is this your excuse for the crash out?
Well, I'm just asking you. Were you?
No.
Because I don't particularly.
Anything.
I don't mock other. Yeah. Okay. Good. So you weren't.
I was quoting a famous black movie. That's all I was doing. I don't know if you're privy to it. I knew you grew up in white spaces. I was quoting a famous black movie.
Okay, got you. Okay. Well, I think that what you were actually quoting was a Buddhist chant, right?
From a black movie.
Well, no, it's not from the black movie. That may be the only place that you've ever heard that Buddhist chant.
Yeah, because I'm not Buddhist. Yeah,
right. But it's not. But it's not.
I'm African American Episcopal Zion.
Okay. Well, again, like I said, it may be the only place that you know that Buddhist chant from, but that is not where it's originally from. Okay. Movies oftentimes like quote things and use things, but that's not where they originate from. That's just the entertainment.
Who do you think you are?
My name is Danny.
They're talking to me like that. You know who I am?
Talking to you like what?
I mean, like you're
Think hard. Think hard.
I don't want to say it though, but it's pretty off-putting, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. I think everybody else is fine with it.
You're angering me.
And
you shouldn't do that. That's mean.
I don't think I'm being mean. I think I'm being very polite.
You're being kind of mean.
Am I?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, can we start anew? From here, we're going to go forward. We're not going to look at dwell at the past. Because I know you don't like some of my positions.
I don't know your positions.
Hey, inbox me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know your positions.
I'm joking. Woosah.
So we were discussing the three branches of government and Title 10 and the judge's opinion. Do you have a question around those things?
I think these judges have overstepped their bounds, and that's why you see a lot of disagreement from the right. Ever since like the Newt Gingrich Congress, we've been speaking out against rogue judges and activist judges. And this just, I mean, the president has certain powers, and this president here is exerting those powers. And I think that's what people are shocked by. They didn't know the president actually had these powers, but he actually does. The courts have reaffirmed that, and Trump has been winning in every court case for a long time now. So, to be rational, and the economy is doing well. It seems as though Trump is doing a great job.
Okay. Do you think anything else, Kenneth?
I think a lot of stuff. I'm a philosopher. I think very deeply.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want to say that you think specific to this topic, or no? Are you good now?
As far as with the judges, I think if you look at I'm excited that Trump will get probably a couple more Supreme Court picks. So
we're not talking about Supreme Court picks today. We're specifically talking about the federalization of the National Guard, Title 10, 12406, and the court decision that came down yesterday and the appellate case today. That's what we're talking about.
I remember George Wallace had to get the National Guard when he was persecuting the black children, and he didn't get permission. I mean, when they sent the National Guard, so I think it's equivalent. The people wanted protection from the rioters in L.A., and Trump said, I'm going to protect those people. And what also Trump has done, which I really appreciate, is that he's going to the Democratic cities, what I like to call them the black cities. And he's going to make sure that those people who have been taking our jobs, who have been infiltrating us and have been invaders, are out of here securing black resources and black jobs.
Gotcha.
So it's like one of the first times that the government of the United States has stood up for black people and our resources. And I appreciate that as well.
Great. Well, you know what? I'm glad that you appreciate it, Kenneth. You're absolutely entitled to have your opinion, and thank you for sharing it with us
how do you feel
today.
about that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have an opinion on that.
Is that what they told you? They said don't engage because you can't defeat him.
I don't know who they is. Kenneth, listen, if you are hearing voices, or if you think that there are other people around that are talking, I would recommend going to your closest hospital and having a conversation with those people, and then they can assist you with that. Okay? Because I don't know
really
I don't know
like
who
to
they
see
is.
light skin black.
I
women.
know you do, and it's okay. But thank you for
It's like
sharing
I
your.
think it is a fetish of mine.
Well,
I
can
think
you
I
do me a
really-
favor,
'cause you gotta
Kenneth?
think you're so arrogant, but when I beat you,
Yeah. Okay, Kenneth. Well, listen, I really do appreciate you sharing your opinion with us and your thoughts with us today. I hope that you have a terrific rest of your day. And you're welcome to come back at any time. Okay. Thanks, Kenneth. All right. So, okay. So y'all ready? So in case anybody else is wondering, if people say things like, what are they saying to you, and you're clearly in a space by yourself, it is okay and appropriate to seek medical attention. Okay. I support mental health. I support proactive and attentive mental health. I think that mental health should be a priority. I definitely think that it should be a priority for men. I know that oftentimes men are belittled and are told not to seek help for anything that they might need. I want all of the men to hear me when I say that you deserve to have good health care. You deserve to have your emotions respected, your thoughts and things like that. It is okay. It does not make you less of a man. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you pathetic. It doesn't make you any of those things. It makes you a human being, right? And I am an advocate for all human beings. And I definitely think that people should 100% seek out healthcare when appropriate in their lives. Okay. Awesome. Thank you all. Appreciate you. All right. So let's talk about this decision. Okay. And the court case. So like we were saying, when we went over the video, and we were talking about the three branches of government and the fact that they are separate but equal. And that is how we achieve a system of checks and balances, right? It's important to understand that Congress is our legislative branch, right? And Congress is who makes the laws. The president cannot make a law, and a judge cannot make a law. What a judge can do is interpret that law as it applies to a particular case that is before the judge at that moment in time. But the judge does not actually make the law. Neither does a president, right? An executive order doesn't change law. An executive order can be a directive, but if that directive violates law, then the people who are being given that directive, or the people who are impacted by that directive, can seek relief in the court system. And then what the court system does is the court system then says, okay, they were given this order, they were given this directive, this law applies, right? And this directive goes against law. So this directive is null and void, and these people don't have to abide by it. So that's what we call the system of checks and balances. Okay. So that's important for people to know. The only people who make laws are Congress, right? And the people who interpret those laws and apply them is the judiciary. Okay. An executive branch, their role is to administer the laws from Congress and develop policy and actions that apply. So, for example, when Congress passes a budget and it says the budget is going to be used for A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, then the executive branch is responsible for the rollout of those things, right? And so that's kind of how those three separate things work. Okay. Now, why is that important with the federalization of the National Guard? It's important with the federalization of the National Guard because there is a specific law that is written about that. Why? Because the National Guard actually has two functions. It has a state function and it has a federal function. That function determines who's funding it, whose dollars are being used, right? And what they can and cannot do. And that's really, really important because when they are federalized, then that's federal funding that must be used, not the state's tax dollars, right? But the federal funding that is used. But there's a process for that because under regular circumstances, right? In almost every situation, the Guard is under the command of the governor of that particular state. Okay. So if you live in Georgia, you have a Georgia National Guard. If you live in California, you have a California National Guard, right? Your National Guard is in your state and is under the command of your governor unless one of three situations applies. Okay. And I'm going to review with you what those are. All right. Oh, wait, which y'all know me. I have multiple browsers up with, oh, thank you, Roland. Appreciate you, friend. Give me 1 second because I have up so many things. Okay, here it is. Perfect. So what I'm going to do, you didn't know that, Haley? You're welcome. I'm glad I could help. All right, I'm going to share my window with you. Right, you guys are good. So TikTok, I'm going to share the document with you guys as well so you can see it. All right, let me turn my camera around. Okay, so as you can see, I'm looking at 10 U.S. Code 12406, National Guard in federal service, and it specifically says call. So it's calling the National Guard into federal service. That's what this law is covering. And it says you can only call the National Guard into federal service under three circumstances. Okay. One, the United States or any of the commonwealths or possessions is invaded or is in danger of invasion by a foreign nation. Now, this is the part that's really important, is that it has to be a foreign nation that is threatening to invade or is invading the country or any of its commonwealths, right? Welcome back, Tech Lady. Number two, if there is a rebellion or danger of a rebellion against the authority of the government or the United States. Peacefully protesting, even a riot is not a rebellion, okay? A rebellion would look more along the lines of what you saw on January 6th, where people are literally attacking the Capitol, right? Where our Congress works, when they are calling for the Vice President of the United States to be unalived. That is a rebellion, right? Because they are going against the authority of the government of the United States and attempting to harm a particular member of the executive branch, right? Or under point 3, the president is unable with the regular forces to execute the laws of the United States. And that's not something that we have seen either. So these three things are the only reasons in which the president can federalize the National Guard. But even under these three circumstances, here's what's important. It actually says the president may call into federal service members and units of the National Guard of any state in such manners as he considers necessary to repel the invasion, suppress the rebellion, or execute those laws. Orders for these purposes shall be issued through the governors of the states. Now, why is that important? Because even if one of these circumstances were met by the legal requirement, the order to federalize the National Guard would still need to be given through the governor, right? And so that's the reason why this is important, because this did not happen when it comes to, did it? You got it? Good girl. Look at you. So this did not happen in California, which is the basis for the court case, right? So I had people talk to me a little bit, and we actually looked at the presidential memorandum that Donald Trump used to federalize the National Guard in California. And I want for us to look at it again, because there's there's important pieces that are an issue and are at issue for them. And I think that they will be significant again in the appellate court, the same way that they were in last week's court decision. Okay. So let me do this. Presidential memorandum, federal guard, hold on. National Guard, California. So I'm going and I'm looking this up from the White House. And you're welcome, Sharon. 100%. So, and then I also need to pull up something else that is going to be an issue. So the reason why I'm pulling up both of these two documents, and I'm going to share them with you in just a second, is because they are actually related to each other. And they will both be important in the arguing of the case in appellate court, the same way that they were last week. Okay, so let me pull this up real quick. Okay, perfect. All right, so on June 7th, what we had Donald Trump issue this presidential memorandum. Okay, and let me show it to you guys. That's why I didn't put the background up, is because I want to show you all the information. Okay. So this is the presidential actions, right? And you can see that it is dated on June 7th, okay? And it says memorandum for the Secretary of Defense, the Attorney General, the Secretary of Homeland Security, right? And it says subject, Department of Defense security for the protection of the Department of Homeland Security functions. And it states in this document that numerous incidents of violence and disorder have recently occurred, and they threaten to continue in response to the enforcement of federal law by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and other United States government personnel who are performing federal functions and supporting the faithful execution of federal immigration laws. In addition, violent protests threaten the security and significant damage to federal immigration detention facilities and other federal property, to the extent that protests or acts of violence directly inhibit the execution of the law. So that tells you that he's automatically trying to go for number 3 of those 3 circumstances, right? Where you can't execute the law. And then it says they constitute a form of rebellion, which is point 2, against the authority of the government of the United States. Now, what's interesting about this particular document is that he did it on June 7th, right? Well, LAPD also put out something on June 7th. At the end of the day, right, at the end of the protest on June 7th, the LAPD put out this statement. And it says, Los Angeles Police Department statement regarding today's peaceful protests. Today, demonstrations across the city of Los Angeles remained peaceful. And we commend all those who exercise their First Amendment rights responsibly. The Los Angeles Police Department appreciates the cooperation of organizers, participants, and community partners who helped ensure public safety throughout the day. While today's events concluded without incident, the Los Angeles Police Department remains fully prepared to respond swiftly and appropriately to any potential acts of civil unrest. Our commitment to safeguarding the rights, safety, and well-being of all Angelenos continues day and night. We will maintain a heightened readiness posture and remain ready to ensure the continued safety of our communities. Now, why is this important? Because they are literally saying that today's offense concluded without incident. You see that? But over here, Trump is saying there's been numerous incidents of violence and disorder, and it's threatening, right, to continue. Well, wait. LAPD is on the ground, and LAPD says the day ended without violence, without incident at all. So I think what's going to be important, right, is when this is argued in court again, the same way that it was last week, right? This is going to be an issue for the Trump administration and for their lawyers, because it literally outlines that at the time that the Trump administration is saying there's some sort of rebellion happening that's keeping people from doing their job, and that there's these numerous violent incidents, right? LAPD is saying, no, it ended without incident, right? And so I think it's important, right? And the other thing to note is that, right. So at the same time that this is happening, what you also have to understand is that when this happened, the LAPD, as well as the governor and the mayor, they all said the same thing. Bringing in federal troops is something that will escalate, right? Whenever you bring in a higher level of how should I say, militarization, right? Then you are by default going to have an increase in that rhetoric. The people are already expressing their disapproval of the government's overreach, right? So if you bring in more government, right, against the people who are already exercising their constitutional right to protest, it's going to escalate things, right? And the thing that's interesting about this is what everybody has to understand about protests and media. We have an issue in this country with misinformation and disinformation. If you have HBO, I highly recommend that you go watch a documentary that came out called After Truth. How many of you guys have seen this documentary? I watched it a long time ago. I believe that everyone should watch it because you will literally see actual folks that are working with the Republican Party admit that they are using misinformation. One of the guys, hold on, it's called, so the documentary is called After Truth, Disinformation, and the Cost of Fake News. That's the name of it. Okay. Disinformation and the cost of fake news. And there is let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find his name for you real quick. Republican consultant featured in movie. Okay. Jack Berkman. That's his name. That's his name. So Jack Berkman, Burkman, Burkman. He is, he's interviewed in this documentary. He's a right-wing consultant, and he talks about the fact that they are using misinformation. He talks about the fact that they are lying. It's called After Truth, and then there's a colon, and it says the cost of misinformation, of disinformation. It says After Truth, disinformation, and the cost of fake news, right? That's what it's called. It came out in 2020. Now, in this documentary, Jack Berkman admits that they are lying to people. And he goes on to say, if we don't do it, the other side's going to do it. So we just need to do it first. And they talk in this documentary about the deep fakes that they use, how they use computer systems to alter videos, to make it seem like something is so that isn't so, how they use information and images from one thing when they're talking and representing another thing. Like, they admit that this is a practice that they are doing. Okay, I just want you all to understand that. So Jack Berkman is this right-wing consultant and lobbyist, and he talks about this very thing. So if you have not seen it, I highly recommend that you watch it, because when you do, then you start to understand why you shouldn't listen to any one particular news agency. I don't care who they are. I don't care who they are. Not CNN, not MSNBC, not Fox Entertainment, not OAN. One is not what we need to be doing. The responsible thing for us to do is to take information, and you might hear about it from one site, but it's to dig into other sites that have differing views, different stances, and look for the actual credible sources. And look for middle of the road reporting. Look for facts. If there are documents involved, read the documents yourself, not just what the article says about the document. Because a lot of times what can happen is they will take the possibilities of the document and they will use those to absolutely anger you and to skew how you view something. So those are recommendations that I will give you right off the bat. Okay. So I'm offering you that. Take what you want, leave the rest, but it's really important for you to do that. Okay. So, I am one of those people that will go 2 or 3 different links, and I want the original document. I want the original case. I want the original opinion. I want the original ruling. I want the policy. I want all of those things. Okay. Questions that I always ask myself when I see a headline that is really inflammatory, I'll ask myself, who do they want me to be mad at? And who benefits me? Who benefits if I'm mad at this particular group of people? Because that generally is an indication of who's driving that particular narrative, right? So when people say, oh, well, look at your eyes and look at the images that are being seen. Number one, I know that images can be altered. We live in a day where technology can get to be really scary. That is why the part of the big ugly bill that talks about that states cannot enact or enforce any laws against AI for 10 years. That is why that should not pass. You should be adamantly opposed to that legislation passing with that in there. Okay. Not only because federal law is being used to determine what states can do. It says $3.99 out of $7.50 for me. Thanks, Beach Bone Wannabe, right? Appreciate the reminder to hydrate. Thank you all for gifting subscriptions and things like that. So there are states that have passed laws against AI being used for certain things. If you haven't ever gone and listened to testimony before the FTC, I highly recommend that you do. Last year and the year before, there were so many people testifying before the FTC about concerns regarding AI and the stealing of information and talent and intellectual property, along with misrepresentation, right? So that big, if you do not know this, the big ugly bill, as I call it, absolutely has a section that would prevent states from using their laws and their authority to enforce laws against AI. Okay. So anyway, so this is something that is going to be an issue for the Trump administration, is that on the very day that the Trump administration is making claims that things are so dire and so horrible that enacting the federalizing the National Guard in California into downtown LA is necessary, is you actually have LAPD, the governor, the AG, and the mayor claiming absolutely not. That's not an issue for us. You're also going to have LAPD saying, hey, the National Guard came here. We had no communication. They were coming here. They had no provisions. We don't know what budget this is coming out of. They don't have food down here. They're sleeping on concrete floors. There's a mismanagement of those things, and all of those things are going to work against them. The other thing that is going to be a problem when they go to court today is what Donald Trump has said since then. So over the weekend, when Donald Trump put on Truth Social that there was going to be a change in immigration policy and immigration enforcement because it was hurting the farmers and the leisure services, that is going to be, that excited utterance is going to be admissible in court. And the judge is going to say, well, I'm confused. Are these criminals? Is this a rebellion? Is this a whatever or not? Is it not a threat to national security or what, right? Or are we only concerned when our friends say, hey, you're hurting our workforce, right? And we can't replace those people. So all of those things are going to be issues that come up in the appeal when it's presented in court today. So I'm going to pause right there. And I'm going to open up the panel for anybody that has any questions or anybody that wants to discuss Title 10, 12406. Yep. And he's already backtracked. Well, no, he didn't backtrack on that. The Department of Homeland Security did. And that's the thing that's important. So right now, Trump and the Department of Homeland Security are at odds with each other. It was the Department of National Security that said, no, we're going to go back and do that. Right. And so they are in conflict with each other about what they want to do. It's the same way that he is disregarding his own intelligence. Right. When Tulsi Gabbard says, listen, the intelligence community says Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons and they're not trying to do such a thing. And he literally says, I don't care what she says. I think they're close to doing it. Y'all, listen, we should know this story by now. If you don't remember George W. Bush and WMDs, if you don't remember that and those claims, right? Okay, so I want you to listen to this conversation between a journalist and the president with regard to this very thing. Okay, so give me 1 second so you can hear it. Right, Cam, we have been here before. And history will repeat itself if we aren't careful and if we don't do something about it, right? What's up, Zoe? Donoski, thank you for sharing. So give me 1 second. We got 15 more seconds, and then I will be able to turn up the volume on this conversation. So literally, Donald Trump is getting in a plane. He's asked a question by a reporter.
415.
And here's what happens.
You always said that you don't believe Iran should be able to have a nuclear weapon. But how close do you personally think that they were to getting one? Because Tulsi Gabbard testified in March that the intelligence community said Iran wasn't building a nuclear weapon.
The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003.
I don't care what she said. I think they were very close to having it.
So he is asked, how close do you think
As much as we
Iran
appreciate what
is
our-
to having a nuclear weapon, right? And he says very close. And she said, well, hold on, because Tulsi Gabbard testified in March that the intelligence community said that they are not close to one. They don't have one. And they haven't restarted the program that they abandoned in 2003, right? And he says, I don't care what she says. I believe we're very close. What in the absolute fuck? Right? This is just absolutely asinine. Right? So give me a second. I'm going to bring some folks up. I want you to put yourself on mute until I can get to you, please. Can I have somebody remind me that I have a hard stop at 2:00, please? Sheila, good afternoon. What you got for me? I don't think that Sheila meant to request up. All right. Malka, good afternoon. And what you got?
Good afternoon. I think something that we really need to focus on is that big, beautiful bill, because this is all tied into it. The mass deportations, the jail that's going, the GEO group, if you look that up in the stocks, that is who made private jails. If you see the last time Trump was in office, they made a lot of money. But those people are not just a private prison. They also do weapons. Like they do vests, they do different tactical gear that are then made by the people who are arrested. So the big, beautiful bill is so attached with what's happening in Iran, what's going to happen with Medicare, what's going to happen to a lot of our civil rights. Because telling the feds that they're allowed to not do due process doesn't only affect ICE. Eventually, the FBI will be there, the ATCF. Like, it's going to just keep piling on to all of us. And I don't feel like we're focusing on that big, beautiful bill because I know it's 816 pages and there's so much in there that it's very hard to kind of connect it all. But yes, this is all Project 2025. I do agree with that. But that stock has increased so much. And during the Trump administration, it was up. During the Bush administration, it was up. And then it always goes back down. These people are ramping up for something big. And we are all at risk if we go into a world war.
Yeah, watch that TikTok, make TikTok friendly language, please.
Oh, sorry.
TikTok friendly language. So listen, I think most of us, or we should know, the organizations and the folks that benefit the most from these administrations, right? Lockheed Martin continues to be the largest holder of government contracts through the Department of Defense, right? There's a reason that occurs. I guess my question, one of the questions that I would have in terms of the big, beautiful bill that you mentioned, what part of it do you see connected specifically to this particular organization? Malka.
Sorry, you broke up. Can you repeat what you said? I'm very sorry.
Sure. No. I was asking what part of the big beautiful bill do you see as specifically attached to this particular corporation or the immigration piece? Well, let me not say the immigration piece because I there's a part there, but specifically the corporation that you're talking about.
Well, it's just the last time that we had mass deportations with Trump, even though it is not at the scale it is today, the group that was used was the GEO group. The day that he won the election, it's the stocks. I'm only looking at the stocks because the math doesn't lie to us. Money doesn't lie to us. So if the last time he was in the presidency, this company made a lot of money. He went out of office. Their stock plummeted to like $18 or $14, and it's currently at 26. But the day after his presidency, they had a meeting, a board's meeting, talking about how this administration is going to bring us back to a stronger stock market because of the mass deportations and the contracts that they are expected to have from them. The day after the election, that stock went up to $32, I think it went. The administration is running out of money, so their stock is starting to get hurt because they're not getting as much people as they are. But these people, like I said, they don't only house inmates, and not just ICE inmates. They ICE regular general pops, federal pops, and all of them have them on these work programs where, because I don't know if people know this, but in the United States, only American stuff are allowed to be used for war, right? So every bullet that gets made isn't.
You gotta watch the language.
Sorry.
Don't say the B words. Things like that.
Sorry. The things that you use to view people, the stuff that goes in there, are made by not always corporations. They're made out of jails by inmate work, as well as the bulletproof vests. Those vests don't just go to police; they go also to our military, and it's not implicitly attached where it says on there, but it does say that it will be given to contractors. And
What will be given to contractors? What section of the bill are you referring to? Mila, not so loud, please.
The immigration part. The immigration part, where they're saying that they're gonna put more resources into mass deportations. I think it's like $458 million that is supposed to go to that. That's not only going to go to the federal agents. That's going to go to the subcontractors, the people who are holding these inmates. The inmates will have to work until they're being able to see in court. And we're also allowing more for the defense budget. So a company like the GEO group is double dipping, essentially, because they have not only the inmates part of the side, but they also have the weaponry making part of the side. And that big beautiful bill has so much in it, and I know it's a lot because it's so many layers between the AI, the Medicaid, the ICE, the Pentagon budget, the Elon Musk contract for space. I know it's a lot, but I feel like there's so much more to digest with that big beautiful bill.
All right, so give me 1 second. Because what I want is this what I want. Let me see. Okay.
No, puppy.
I'm not calling it the big beautiful bill because that's what I think it is. That's what they're calling it, and that's what is on the news. So when people are, if I were just to say I forgot the actual name of the bill. I don't even know the actual name of the bill because that's just what is being portrayed as. I don't think of it as the big beautiful bill. I think that is the most corrupt piece of legislation that we've seen in our time. trying to be passed.
Yeah. So I think that I'm not sure which parts of it that you're referring to. Like I see
I'll reread it and
I'm
I'll
just-
send it to you.
Yeah.
Later, so that way you can kind of look at it and we can talk about it another time.
Yeah, I mean, because what I'm looking at is the so like the retention and signing bonuses for ICE folks. See that? I see the hiring of additional ICE folks. I see that. I see yeah, like I think what I'm looking for. So because here's the thing about this bill that I think the things that I think are the most concerning. Because I think the things that GEO does, they're a for-profit prison system, and what organizations like the Heritage Foundation and those types of folks have been moving towards is they understand that mass incarceration is no longer an attractive political stance. And what they would like to move to is what GEO provides, which is basically making you a prisoner within your own neighborhood, where those digital tracking devices are the things that offenders, whether they are citizens or immigrants, would be used in terms of instead of being placed in a jail, right? So that's one of the ways that GEO is going to benefit. I think for me, when I look at the most concerning parts of this bill, I think they are a couple different things. I think one is the fact that they are trying to put into this bill that the judiciary, federal judges will not be able to use their contempt power to enforce injunctions against the executive branch unless whoever the plaintiff is, the complainant pays a bond. That to me is the most concerning part of this bill, along with the 10 years of AI. And then comes to the cuts to services that people need all across the country, that being Medicaid, that being SNAP, and those types of things. So those three things, in my mind, are the biggest things, because here's what I know about this administration. They will 100% pull the funds from wherever the fuck they want to pull them from, no matter what is allocated and isn't. They're doing it now, right? When the Department of Homeland Security cannot answer for where her funds are coming from currently because they have overspent their budget so much, she's running out of money. She has run out of money 2 months before the fiscal year is over. That tells you that they are going to pull money from wherever they want to pull money from to do the things that they want to do. They can't account for their budget. Pete Hegseth doesn't know the budget. Kash Patel doesn't know his budget. Like literally his budget stuff was supposed to be turned in however long ago. It was more than 2 weeks late. By law, it was supposed to be turned in. And, I don't have a timeline for that. So I don't worry as much about the budgetary allocations because this administration, they don't really mean what they're supposed to mean. So until we get to the midterms and you take back control of Congress and Congress then takes back its control over the purse strings, that part of it isn't as concerning to me as limiting the ability of the federal courts to rein in this administration, not protecting the people from AI for 10 years, and then reducing our social services programs like SNAP and like Medicaid. Those are the three things that I think are kind of like the most, urgent at the moment, because I don't think that, so like if I were to argue to a state senator that they should not pass this bill because it grants additional funding for a for-profit prison system, I don't know that that's going to be a powerful argument to keep it from being passed.
I agree.
Yeah.
No, I agree. But I'm just saying that it is a lot of things. A lot of the things that people are hurting and complaining about, whether you're hurting about immigration, it's in the big, beautiful bill. Whether you're worried about this war in Iran, it's in the big, beautiful bill. Whether you're worried about Medicaid being cut for your loved ones' healthcare, it's in the big, beautiful bill. You're worried about AI, it's in the big, beautiful bill. Like, if we could focus on making sure that this bill doesn't pass, it will stop a lot of the scariness from moving through, because you can't move without money at the end of the day.
Yeah, but the problem is that currently, so here's the problem, and I hear you. Listen, we've talked about this bill a lot in here. That is why there's a whole section of resources in my link tree about this bill, right? I hear you. What I'm saying is that the parts of the bill that for me that I've chosen to focus on, right? Because I think when you try to focus on all of the things in the bill, you get to focus on nothing. So what I've done is take the 3 pieces of the bill that I believe will be the most impactful and the most persuasive to the senators, whether they are Democratic or Republican. And I've tried to focus on those, right? And so because to me, you're not going to move a Republican when it comes to conflict and defense spending. They're not going to move. That's not going to be an argument that is going to move a Republican senator, right? But if I could talk about specifically how the cuts for Medicaid will impact that senator's state or the number of people in that senator's district, that's a persuasive damn argument, right? If I'm able to talk about limiting the judiciary and what that can look like in terms of the constitutionality of it, right? That is a compelling argument to make, right? Because regardless, here's what we know. We saw definitively that with the first Trump administration, they were perfectly okay with racism. They were fine with sexism and misogyny. They were fine with homophobia and transphobia. They were good with every bit of that. What they weren't good with was overthrowing the damn government. Like it was like a last ditch. Like they didn't have a spine too much at all. But the one thing that where they drew the line with was overthrowing the government, right? That's where you saw Mike Pence say, nah, I can't go that far. That's where you saw Randy Bowers in Arizona saying, nah, I can't go that far. That's when you saw people like Eric Hirschman and other people in the White House say, nah, this is not a good look. Like we can't go this far. Like this is bad. And so I think that when you have those people who are at the end of the day, 100% Republicans who still believe in the Constitution, I think that those are places where you can still move them. I understand that a lot of things are in this big, beautiful bill. It's because this big, beautiful bill is designed to fund everything that was laid out in Project 2025. We get that. Project 2025 is the playbook. The big, beautiful bill is the funding for the playbook, right? And I've got to be strategic as to what I argue about and what I present to the legislators to keep this bill from getting passed, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And I do agree with everything. And I have been emailing with the letter that you sent. I've had my parents send it. I have my husband send it. Like anybody that I can get to like hear me out, I'm gonna just email them.
Yeah.
And I do use a lot of like Medicaid talking points, but it's so big. And I feel like sometimes people don't realize how big and how much it's gonna affect you personally as soon as this bill passes. Like it is not just against brown people, black people, Asian people. It is like a rich versus poor thing. And none of us are that rich. Like none of us have that million. Well, some of us do, but it's very few that have that $2 million in their bank account that this will not affect them.
That $2 million is still going to be affected after a while because this is literally for this is for the 1%. And, and here's the thing. Unfortunately, we know with all of the points of intersectionality, the ones that the people don't get it until it gets to the intersection that affects them. And for many people in this country, that's going to be the classism. And it's often the hardest to see because they hide it under all the other isms. Right? They hide it under all the other isms. And so they get the folks that are living what I call the working poor. They get those folks to support these things because it goes against the LGBTQ plus community and they don't agree with that life. So that they're supported because of that, or it goes about this, or it goes about that. And then all of a sudden they realize, oh shit, wait, this actually impacts me too because I'm poor. And so that's, I know that some of those people aren't going to get it until then, but we just got to keep kind of moving the needle forward a little bit at a time. 100%. I agree. Yeah, she did. I saw Melissa Stanberry go against him. So, yeah, Malcolm, I appreciate you pointing out some of those things. I think that one day when we really when we are really going to dive into the for-profit prison system, when we start to get into, the fact that we still have slavery in this country and what that looks like and what corporations are benefiting from it, then yeah, I would love to have you back and we can talk about all of them. Once we get to that place. So yeah, but I appreciate you very much. All right. So yeah, this is a reminder that it is primary day in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So please make sure that you are voting in your primaries. Lisa, my friend, can you hold space for me while I take a bio break and then I'll be right back?
Sure, absolutely.
Awesome.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Danny is doing a great service for everyone, and we saw how she dog walked Kenneth. It was freaking hilarious. At first I was a little worried when he popped in there because I know how he is. I see him all. Hi, everybody. I see him all over the place, but yeah, Danny in true Danny fashion. Schooled him, walked him up one side of the sidewalk and down the other. It was fabulous, and I just loved it. I was laughing, and he was like he was actually caught off guard. He said, "I don't like this. I don't like when this light skinned black woman schools me." Hi, Brandy. Hi, everybody. So while Danny is away doing her bio break, let's make sure we tap the screen. Let's make sure we gift Danny if we are able to. Everybody make sure you do your heart knees, which is that little heart to the right of Danny's name in the upper left-hand corner. Share the live if you can, using that little arrow down in the bottom corner. And Danny,
I appreciate it. Thank you. Lisa, I heard you talking about Kenneth. I think he really thought, because, the one time I was on a panel with him, he worked very, very hard to make the conversation be about race and specifically the fact that I'm light skinned. He worked really hard to make it about that. And I think he thought he was going to, I don't know, somehow get the best of me or upset me today. But here's the thing about
trigger you. Yeah, he does gonna come up and trigger you in front of everybody, and that's why that's why I said he was like kind of shocked at the end.
Yes.
He said, I don't like being put in my place.
Yeah.
I don't like being put in my place by light skinned black women.
Yeah, you saw.
Yeah. And he's like he was actually taken aback because he thought he was going to do it to you, and then you turned the tables on him.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah. So this is my thing. That one panel was very not friendly, right? And I am someone that I learn, right? I learn from my experiences, and now that I know who he is and who the other people that were involved in that conversation, now that I know who those folks are, they will never get the opportunity to do what they did the first time, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I learned, you showed me who you are. I believe you. And now I'm going to handle you accordingly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I was in that live and I watched, and afterwards I sent Stacy a 20-minute crash out audio note. Going off, and I'm like, I don't even understand what they were talking about, and blah 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 blah. And then I asked a question, and they told me I was a white woman, and to get out of there, and I was like, and I said fair, but I'm like trying to learn, and I was like on and on. But yeah, anyway, I came up to because you mentioned the fact that Donald Trump backtracked, because his donors, right, called him up and was like, what are you doing? You're taking all of our workers, blah, blah, blah. But he's been saying little breadcrumbs of that for the past couple months.
Yeah.
And what people need to understand, and it's something you and I talk about all the time, but it's something that's like very important to me that people need to get, is that Donald Trump is no longer the problem. Donald Trump was a Trojan horse that brought in some really bad factions into power.
Yep.
And they are in charge. And the Wag the Dog movie, the Wag the Dog idea that you brought up last week is so apt for this administration, because the MAGA is literally the tail that's wagging the dog now.
100%.
And the people that he brought into the administration, Kristi Noem, Pete Hegseth, they are true believers. Now, don't get me wrong, Donald Trump 100% helped radicalize those people. He fed them. He fed them the hatred. He fed them the vitriol. He fed them the xenophobia, and he fed them the ideas that they are coming to the administration with.
Yeah.
But he thought he'd always be able to control them, and now he's lost control. And you saw, like, to your point, he told them changes are coming, and at first they were like, okay, and then they were like, no, right?
Yeah.
No, we are not doing that. We are going in, we're doing this. I mean, it's like, yeah, like he has lost control. He's lost complete control. So we cannot ever lose focus that if we get rid of Donald Trump, then we can go back and put our signs away.
Yeah.
Do you
No.
feel like we can't? There's no such thing.
Yeah. There's
no such thing, guys. There will never be a time when we can lay back and rest again like we did after Joe Biden.
Never.
That's never. This is us until we take our last breath.
100%.
You understand? Like, I need everybody to get it, and I need everybody to be on board with it.
Yeah. And the thing is, we have got to be as committed to our goal as they are to theirs.
Yeah. Which is generational, right? They were willing to work generationally.
Yes.
And pass on the baton to the next generation, and set that next generation up for success. And that's how they got here. And we need to be about the same business.
100%. That's why I said use Alex tactics, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We need our own Alex.
Yeah, I am perfectly capable of learning from them and using those same tools to do good. You know how we say it's not the tool that's bad. It's not money. It's not social media. It's not TV. It's what you do with the tool that makes it either good or bad, right? That's the thing. So 100%.
100%. All right. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you, Lisa.
Everything that you do. Love you.
Love you too. All right. So real quickly, folks, because I do have a few minutes. Now, let me just be clear. I'm going to be going at 2 because I have an appointment. It's a virtual appointment. Once that virtual appointment is done, I will be back live again. Actually, listen, once that virtual appointment is done and I grab something to eat, then I will be back again. No, Daisy Shell, the president of the United States cannot cancel midterms. No, that's not something that the president can do. All right. So let's talk very quickly. The last thing that I did want to make sure that I touch on real quick, because we're going to be coming back to the court case today. But I want to make sure that I touch on what has happened with regard to the pew-pewing of Melissa and Mark Portman and the attempted unaliving of John Hoffman and his wife Yvette, right? Thank you, Arava. I appreciate that. Listen, folks, I am game for anybody. If you know someone who's running for office and they would like to come onto this platform and discuss, kind of the issues and their takes on them and their plans and all of that, I'm open to anyone. I don't have the capacity to contact everyone. So what I have said to all of you all is feel free to contact them on my behalf. And if they say yes, find out their availability, and then we can make it happen. Okay. All right. So I want to talk about this because there are things that I believe are incredibly important. Okay. And for me, it's not about whether the perpetrator was a reporter, was a Republican or a Democrat. I don't really care. Because regardless of the affiliation, what I do know is that this individual was targeting and unalived businesses. Sorry, what? Yeah, they can contact me, Blooming Pottery. Yeah, and then we can figure it out. And tell me what your county. So, do you mean as part of your like county commission or county or whatever? Yes, Beach Bum wannabe. Peter will be here later. So let me say this. So I'm not really concerned whether he was a registered Democrat or a registered Republican, because that doesn't change the reality of the events that happened. 2 people are no longer with us, and 2 people have a long road of recovery ahead of them. Do I think that we can draw upon the fact that it was politically motivated? Yes. Why do I say that? Because the people that were on the list were politicians. That's why. Why do I believe that it was politically motivated against Democrats? Because all of the people that were targeted were Democrats, right? So whether this person had previously registered Republican or not, I don't really care. I really don't care. Because what matters is that we have reached a point in the political rhetoric in this country where people are doing acts of violence, and that's not where we want to be. And regardless of who you are, regardless of what party you support, or how you voted, every person should be against this type of action, and everyone should be doing everything possible to de-escalate this type of scenario. And what we know is that using incendiary language, right, is not helpful. So if someone is attacking a particular group of people, what we shouldn't do when we are in positions of power is use more language like that to stir the pot. Like, it's just not something that we should do, right? You're welcome, Carlin. So I think the things that I took away from before even listening to his roommates or any of those things, I know what his roommates say. I know his roommates say that he was a Trump supporter and had very religious views. I already knew about the religious views because I watched his sermons in the Democratic Republic of Congo, right? I do know that this year, the Minnesota state legislature, the Democratic side defeated 2 bills specifically regarding AB and rights for around AB. Okay. I know I wasn't able to look up all of the other things. But what I will say is I know at least on one of those measures, Melissa Hortman voted against the bill, right? So I know that he had super strong views regarding AB from a Christian perspective. I do know that, that's kind of his stance on things, that he would be what I would refer to as a Christian nationalist. And that's for me enough. I don't need to know anymore. The problem that I have with Donald Trump, specifically as the president of the United States, I would still believe this is shitty if he was just a normal person, right? So even if he wasn't the president currently, I would still think that this post is horrible. But because he is the president of the United States, it makes it worse because you are in a position where you could de-escalate things in this country. And for me, what I see in this post by him is similar to what we saw occur on January 6th, where he had the opportunity to de-escalate things, where he had the opportunity to take tempers down, where he had the opportunity to, kind of provide some calm. He didn't do that then, and he didn't do it now, right? Same thing as the senator from Utah, right? But I don't know. I'm sure that some of you all heard parts of what he said. And I think it's important that we know all of what he said, because this is the person that is in charge of the country. Okay. So here's what it says on Truth Social. Quote, this is from Donald J. Trump. Quote, our nation's ICE officers have shown incredible strength, determination, and courage as they facilitate a very important mission, the largest mass deportation operation of illegal aliens in history. Every day, the brave men and women of ICE are subjected to violence, harassment, and even threats from radical Democrat politicians. And I want you to understand that radical Democrat politicians they are capitalized at the beginning of each of those words, making them a specific group, noun. But nothing. No, I don't believe that he wrote it, but it doesn't matter who wrote it. It's on his page. Doesn't matter. And he says, but nothing will stop us from executing our mission and fulfilling our mandate to the American people. ICE officers are herewith ordered by notice of this truth to do all in their power to achieve the very important goal of delivering the single largest mass deportation program in history. In order to achieve this, we must expand efforts to detain and deport illegal aliens in America's largest cities, such as Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York, where millions upon millions of illegal aliens reside. These and other such cities are the core of the, and again, capitalized, Democrat Power Center, where they use illegal aliens to expand their voter base, which is a lie, cheat in elections, which is also a lie, and grow the welfare state, which is also a lie, robbing good paying jobs and benefits from hardworking American citizens. Again, these, quote, radical left Democrats are sick of mind, hate our country, and actually want to destroy our inner cities. And they are doing a good job of it. There is something wrong with them. Thanks, Merlot. That is why they believe in open borders, transgender for everybody, and men playing in women's sports. And that is why I want ICE, Border Patrol, and our great and patriotic law enforcement officers to focus, in all caps, on our crime-ridden and unalively inner cities and those places where sanctuary cities play such a big role. You don't hear about sanctuary cities in our heartland, but you do. Nashville's one, right? I want our brave ICE officers to know that real, in all caps, Americans are cheering you on every day. The American people want our cities, schools, and communities to be safe and free from illegal alien crime, conflict, and chaos. That's why I have directed my entire administration to put every resource possible behind this effort and reverse the tide of mass destruction migration, which is all capitalized, not the whole word, not in all caps, but each word capitalized, that has turned once idyllic towns into scenes of, again, capitalized, third world dystopia. Our federal government will continue to be focused on the remigration of aliens to the places where they came from and preventing the admission of anyone who undermines the domestic tranquility of the United States. To FBI, to ICE, FBI, DEA, ATF, the Patriots at the Pentagon, and the State Department, you have my unwavering support. Now go get the job done, DJT. Now, we can talk about the immigration part of it later, and we can talk about the lies later. What I specifically want to address right now is, once again, making Democrats targets. That's what I want to address. I want to address the absolute irresponsible actions of posting this by the President of the United States of America directly after the unaliving of these individuals, right? It's absolutely dangerous rhetoric, Terry Bora, 100%. You are right. And I really want to point that out. And this is something that I think that people need to be talking about more. So you know what I heard people talking about this? People were talking about, he's going after Democratic cities. Stop that. What I want you to do is talk about the responsibility of the President of the United States just a day after these folks have been unalived and attempted to be unalived, and the way that this type of post absolutely puts a target on the backs of Democrats. I want you all to pay attention to the fact that he said there is something wrong with them. That's important, folks. Him saying there is something wrong with them, that's important. When he says that they are sick of mind, hate our country, those things are important. I wanted to make sure, because I wanted to talk about this yesterday and I haven't gotten to do that. But I want to talk about it some more. And then I want to talk back about the court case when I come back. For those of you all who are just joining, I have a virtual appointment at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's in 10 minutes. I will absolutely be back after that. So what I will be doing is taking a, yes, Dr. Emmy, it is. Mila, I told you about doing that. Stop it. Okay, well, listen, if you do that again, if you lay on the floor and scream my name like that again, right, you are going to be in trouble. Yeah, don't say okay like you didn't know, sissy, because we've talked about this. Okay. Carolyn, I disagree that both parties are hateful. Is there stuff you can't post to the sub chat? Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of. Did someone, let me know if somebody said something about it. But when people say that both sides are hateful, I disagree. Let me be very clear, folks. Is there political corruption throughout politics, regardless of party? Yes, I will agree with you on that. I will agree with you on that. But there is only one party right now. There is only one party that is working really hard to overthrow this government, to take away the individual rights of citizens, right? And to limit the power of the three branches of government. That belongs to the Republican Party. There's only one, period. So let's don't act like it's something different. Okay. So give me approximately an hour or so. Thanks, Jay Riddle. And I will be back and we can continue the conversation at that time. I'm going to go get my appointment done. I'm going to go eat really quickly and then I will be back so that we can talk. We will be awaiting Peter to join us. Peter is part of the legal team that is arguing for the state of California in appellate court. That starts at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and he will be joining us once court is done. And so I will be back, and we will be digging in. So I appreciate you all very much. I will see you in just a little bit after this break. All right, bye.